Talk about meeting some world leaders, and one specific one. Quote, I remember when I met with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, I'm sure he underestimated me, having no clue about my experience staring down little tyrants. I've been a children's pastor after all. Did you meet Kim Jong-un?
Well, you know, as soon as this was brought to my attention, I certainly made some changes and looked at this passage. And I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. As soon as it was brought to my attention, we went forward and have made some edits. So I'm glad that this book is being released in a couple of days, and that those edits will be in place, and that people will have the updated version.
So you did not meet with Kim Jong-un. That's what you're saying.
You know, I've met with many, many world leaders. I've traveled around the world. I think I've talked extensively in this book about my time serving in Congress, my time as governor, before governor, some of the travels that I've had. I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that. This anecdote shouldn't have been in the book, and as soon as it was brought to my attention, I made sure that that was adjusted. So.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass. Episode 162, U.S. Constitution, R.I.P. From On the Ground in Minneapolis, Craig Costa Jardula, and a real fake news update. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
Here we go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Homeless Left. I'm Matt Weinglass. This is the non-tribal approach to news network. We'll be here with you guys all afternoon today on this Tuesday, and we have a lot going on, as you guys probably can tell, since we've last been with you guys on Thursday of last week. We've had so much more crazy things going down with the ICE problem, not just in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, but it's starting to affect the whole nation. We have some issues here in California with it, as you probably could imagine. That's coming next. And you guys, wherever you're at right now, wherever you are out in the world, or if you're in any part of our country in the U.S., just know this. I mean, if you guys watch our show, you guys know that this isn't a shock to us. We saw this coming. Whatever we do over there, we eventually bring it over here. That's how it works. And that's why we've been in the streets the whole way. We didn't just start today. But speaking about being in the streets, we do have our regular co-host on The Homeless Left on the ground in Minnesota, in Minneapolis today. We'll be checking in with him. That's Craig Costa Jardula. He'll be coming to us from the coldest part of the country right now, where all the action's happening, and we're going to get to the nitty-gritty, the bottom of this. There's a lot of levels to it, but one thing, make no mistake, we are in our tribes. That's the whole point. Everybody's in their tribe right now. Even if you happen to be on the tribe of the people right now, make sure that you're not just taking pecking orders from your team. Make sure that you're assessing it on your own, and you're making that decision on by yourself with your own critical thinking skills. That's what we're going to be looking at today. Even though we know being on the streets with the people is usually the right move, as far as if you want to look through history and you have a hard time understanding, what should I be on the side with ICE? Should I be on the side with the people in the street? Most likely, it's the people in the street, generally, if you want to be aligned with the right side of history. But with that, you can still be tribal as you're out there. So we have to look at how the system itself, how the oligarchy itself, how the propaganda machine has done an exceptional job at pitting us against each other, at putting us in our camps, and making us angry at our neighbor. This is happening more now than I think we've ever seen. And it's like they've really perfected this. And so this time, more than any time, we have to be able to take that step back and look at the whole thing with our critical thinking skills. We all have those skills. Can we access them all in the same way? It's hard to access critical thinking if you are in a tribal mindset. That means you have tribal goggles on, and you check in with that team to make sure you're angry about the right thing in the right way, and those talking points are being made crystal clear to you that you can then go recite and repeat on your social media and your conversations. Even if some of them might be actually true, let's figure out where we're getting our talking points from. Where are we getting these ideas from? So that's the name of the game. That's what we do here on the Homeless Left. We've been here with you guys for the last couple of years, and we've been getting used to coming in twice a week with you. So you guys know where you can find us on Rumble. That's our main channel. You guys, if you haven't discovered us on Rumble, please check it out. It's The Homeless Left on Rumble. And we've been able to keep all of our live shows up for, I guess we're on 162. This is our 162 episodes. So we thank all you guys for helping us get this far. We want to continue going in this direction, giving you guys as much content as we can twice a week, because we try to cover a vast array of ideas and things, because at the end of the day, it's not just because we're trying to do a variety show and give you a bunch of everything. It's all connected, man. It's all connected. So we don't want to just stay on one thing, but it all starts to relate to itself. And that's why we try to do the hard work. And it is a lot of work, but we survive because you guys make it possible. And we're constantly fighting the censorship industrial complex, constantly fighting against algorithms and surveillance state. And Rumble certainly has its surveillance state, but it doesn't pull the plug on us. YouTube likes to pull the plug on us. This is our new channel on YouTube. THL presents. We had to try it a second time because the first one got terminated. Why did it get terminated? Well, Google told us that we were having dangerous conversations. It was making the community unsafe. And as you guys know, we have to be careful when we talk to people, right? That's what they told us. They told us stay home, wear 5 masks, stay 6 feet from each other, wait till further instructions. Interesting that worked very well for a few years for the left, didn't it? Didn't that work very well? It was the people on the right. They said, no, that's not okay. You can't tell me to do. No, we get to ask questions. No, censorship is bad. Well, what happened? Fast forward a few years, you bring in the next guy, you bring in Trump part 2, Trump 2.0, which is really Obama 3.0, or whatever you want to call it. What an amazing operation that was. You switched sides now, right? Now you got the right saying, listen to orders, stay where you are, stay inside. Boy, do we have a lot of right-wingers telling us to stay inside right now, if you know what I mean. So interesting. And the left is outside. So let's look at how we've been told by our tribe when to stay inside and when to go outside. Again, let's just say, if it's even confusing to you at all, if you still don't understand it, try just being on the side of the people. In other words, just go outside. There's no situation when staying inside with a mask on, listening to your next instruction, is ever going to pan out right for you. Not going to work. Let's just go outside. How about that? Regardless if it's COVID or if it's ice or whatever it is, let's just go outside. Let's get some vitamin D. Let's get some sunlight. Okay. That's the spiel for us starting the show today. We're calling it United States Constitution, R.I.P. My God, has it been stripped? My God, has it been stripped? And we're looking specifically at the Second Amendment and how the right has completely flipped on gun rights, because that was always their identity. So we'll get into some of that. We also are going to look at this TikTok story. The deal has closed. Larry Ellison is the silent king. We've been telling you guys about the silent king. Everyone's protesting no kings Trump. Meanwhile, Larry Ellison, the silent king, has now taken over all of social media and the entertainment industry. And wow, good for him. Good for him. We'll get to that story. The attack on Iran. It's looking like we're slowly creeping into that. So we have a World War III watch for you guys too. And we have a healthcare workers nationwide strike, which started on Monday, yesterday. It's happening here in California, but it's nationwide. It's happening in Hawaii. It's expanding beyond just locally. And that's something we need to look at, as well as that. The blueprint is in place for punching down on the worker yet again. We'll look at that story. And I think we do have a loudest voice of the week for you as well coming up later. And we'll be talking back with you. That's right. You guys live on the show. Get your comments, your questions ready for later, because we want to engage with you and make you part of this. This is an interactive show. You're not just grabbing a bowl of popcorn and kicking back and watching us and whatever. No, you're part of what we're doing. And we hope that you guys can take the tools that we give you throughout the week. When you go out there, you have conversations with people, you share stuff out on your social media, and those conversations are the most important of all. So we want to help give you guys those tools that you can utilize in case you end up in enemy territory. But it's not really enemy territory. We're looking for opportunities to unite, to connect, to go for understanding, not divide ourselves, not burn bridges, not say F you, don't come to Thanksgiving, you're out of my life. We're not doing that. We're trying to figure out ways to unite with our fellow human being and neighbor and family member and friend and coworker and whoever it is in your life. We're trying to do that because when we understand, finally, when we understand that we're all on the same side because we have more in common than we have differences, that's when the oligarchy gets really nervous, because that's the last thing they want us to discover. Once we know we're on the same side, there's more of us than them, and they can't play that power game anymore. They can't play that divide and conquer. The tribal politics goes out the window if we figure it out. So that's why we're here. Okay. Let's get started with the show. The first segment of the week, today being Tuesday, we like to start off with a little real fake news update. Okay, let's do it. It's a real fake news update, not brought to you by Kaiser. Let's look at everything about this new ICE killing. And it was a killing. It was a murder, cold-blooded murder. We all saw it. There's a lot of video footage of it. Alex Preddy was murdered by ICE. And of course, all of the news organizations are getting in line. The talking heads are getting in line to tell their base, their audience, what they want to hear to keep them in line with their tribe. Let's start with the reports that came out from Gregory Bovino. Now, he has now been fired, but he was the commander of the U.S. Border Patrol. You also have Kristi Noem. She is the director of Homeland Security, who's also under fire. Technically still has her job as of this airing. But the two of them, I guess, were handed the exact same script. Shannon Joy, podcaster, she pointed this out, put a little video up of both of them side by side. Check out how they think they're pretending to be going off the cuff, but they're both following exactly the same script. Check it out.
Approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
Oh yeah, that's certainly a script. Certainly a script. Here's another part of the storyline that they had, I would say, set up, ready to go. Was this the Homeland Security White House coordinated this post that this is a gunman's gun loaded with 2 additional full magazines and ready to go. What is it all about? Where are the local police? Why weren't they allowed to protect ICE officers? The mayor and the governor called them off. Is it slated that many of these police were blah, 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 blah? We don't need to look at the rest of that. But I see the visual they use is the gun that they're insinuating was the one that Alex Preddy had on his person. And some people believe, because of the way the media spun it, that he was holding it in his hand when he got shot. And some even think he was aiming it at the ICE officers. Unfortunately for the White House Homeland Security social media team, someone should be getting fired for this, just because this gun is a stock photo. Christopher David points it out. This isn't even a picture of the actual gun taken by ICE from the murdered victim in Minneapolis before he was killed. It's a stock photo that DHS put out. Everything they tell you is a lie. And here you go. Here you go. and it's been used several times on Reddit, on other areas. So this is, just a stock picture. Why would they do that? Well, they don't care enough. They don't care enough to make it look at least semi-authentic, because they know enough people will see that post, and that's enough for them. That gun checks out. It checks out as much as the Tyler Robinson text chain between his roommate Furry and the way that scope his gun came off. So that's about how much it needs to check out. Kash Patel set that low bar for us, that, hey, we just need to get the information out. The public wants speediness. They have a right to speediness, right? Like a speedy trial. You have a right to, we're just going to whip stuff out for you. We're going to have it done immediately. And you don't have to look into it because we already did the work for you. So good little boys and girls, you did a good job. Now just reshare that Homeland Security post. Just keep resharing. Don't do any work yourself. We got it covered. That's why they're doing that. So all of this leads to most, I guess, people that are supportive of this administration and won't ask any questions because they're part of that tribe. They're not going to look into any of these things being true. They're not going to look into the fact that Alex Jeffrey Preddy was a U.S. citizen. He was 37 years old. He was an intensive care nurse. He had a permit to carry a weapon, and he did not draw the weapon. ICE agents removed his weapon from its holster before they shot him. Make no mistake, an American citizen was murdered by the U.S. government today. So those are the points that will not be covered. And then, unfortunately, that leads to people like Megyn Kelly doing horrible things like this. And warning, this is disgusting to hear, but we can understand how you get to this point. It's hard to understand, but well, it happened. You guys judge for yourself. Here's Megyn Kelly's take on Alex Preddy.
I know I'm supposed to feel sorry for Alex Preddy, but I don't. Do you know why I wasn't shot by Border Patrol this weekend? Because I kept my ass inside and out of their operations. It's very simple. If I felt strongly enough about something the government was doing that I would go out and protest, I would do it peacefully on the sidewalk without interfering, via a whistle, via shouting, via my body, via any other way. I would make my objections known by standing there without interfering, because interfering is where you go south.
Wow. Megyn Kelly went from challenging COVID to, I'm going to stay inside. Just stay inside, guys. Stay indoors. It's cool. Don't go outside. If you go outside, COVID might get you. I mean, ICE might get you. I mean, whatever the thing is might get you, right? That's the technique. And those of you guys on the left that can look right at this and say this is complete BS. Were you one of the people telling people to stay home? Don't go outside. You saw people getting arrested during COVID. You saw surfers and hikers and bikers getting arrested, getting assaulted. We had that here in California. Were you part of that? Did you think there was nothing wrong with that? You can see that there's something wrong with this, right? You can see this makes no sense, that we as U.S. citizens just should stay home because that's the safest thing we should do. If we go outside, it's, hey, you're the one who left your house. You put yourself in danger. You want to kill grandma. You just showing up, you're a threat. You are the threat. Do you see this playbook? Do you see this blueprint? How can Megyn Kelly switch sides here? And you can see that, right? You can see she looks insane saying this. Somebody who told you, no, we're not going to listen to Fauci. We're not going to stay home. We're not going to stay 6 feet from each other. Some bullshit number they made up. So you can see that hypocrisy. Can you see it with yourself? If you were the one telling people, if you go outside during COVID, you're a threat, because now we've switched. Again, spoiler alert, the person going outside, leaving their house, is not the threat. Just a little FYI for you. So if this happens again, just try and be on the side of the person leaving their house and not staying inside. So that's where Megyn Kelly's at right now. And she has no empathy, no sympathy at all. No problem that Alex Preddy got killed. No problem at all. What else you got?
And laying hands on a police officer trying to, or Border Patrol officer or ICE officer trying to conduct a law enforcement operation is a felony. And now you are going to get arrested. And if you do anything that resembles resisting, you're in serious trouble. Doesn't
Look at that. You're in serious trouble, mother effer. You're in serious trouble. How dare you try and protect a fellow citizen? How dare you? The same person who told you it was okay to show up and stop the mandates, right? Keep your hands off our kids. Bodily autonomy, right? When it was convenient. Now, F you if you even think that you're going to interfere with those Nazis. I mean, ICE agents. But if we could go back to 1940s Germany, oh, if only I had a time machine, I would go back. I'd kill Hitler. And I would stop those Nazis. Oh, right. First get the time machine. Let's say you got your DeLorean. Go back. Good luck with that. How's that going to work out for you? Everyone wants to be a hero when it's in hindsight, right? We don't need to wait to hindsight. We're here right now. Megyn Kelly, you're clearly on the wrong side of this for whatever reason. You're either compromised or dumb or both. Thank you for that, Bill Brett. Yeah, one or the other or both. That's pretty much all we got. Now, I don't care. Megyn Kelly has put her foot in her mouth so many times. I don't care. But Adam Carolla, here's another guy who was having the correct conversation during COVID. Let's see his take about it. Slightly foot off the gas, slightly on the inhumanity of it. But what happened? What happened to Adam Carolla on this issue?
All different versions of people getting shot, but it will translate into people getting shot.
Absolutely.
Like if my kid was like, I'm going to go out and antagonize ICE officers, I'd be like, can't you just get on that nice Honda 125? I just bought you and do a few hot laps around town. Here's what I want to say to everyone. You are relying on these people to do something that's not within human capabilities.
So here's the part where Adam will say, look, I know ICE agents are bad at their job. That's why you need to stay inside. So he's exactly where Megyn Kelly is, but at least he's acknowledging that there's a problem with the people doing a job like this. He's actually not even going to get into the training is crazy. There's no background checks. He's not going to get into that part, but he's saying, you should just assume the worst from these idiots because it's hard. It's a hard job. It's a hard job. It's a lot of pressure. This is on the realm of JD Vance after Renee Good got killed. You got to really empathize with the ICE officer. They're the ones you have to recognize their emotional state is what matters. So you're better off just staying the hell away because it's just so much. The job is just so hard. It's so intense. Get out of their effing way is basically what he's saying here.
Which is see red, adrenaline dump, scuffle, pepper spray, have no idea who's armed and who's not armed, and not have anybody's gun go off prematurely. That's what you're asking.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. But not as long as human beings are carrying the gun. So you will get shot. Mm-hmm. You can go, well, that's not right. Well, I agree it's not right.
Absolutely.
But
it's
stay home.
Right. Yeah.
Stay home.
Oh, there it is. Stay home, Adam Carolla. Stay home with Howard Stern, who thought you go outside, you're a danger to society during COVID, right? You're going to die. You're going to kill people. Stay home, Adam Carolla. Stay home.
Be the answer. And then if you stay home, by the way, then they can just do their fucking job. And that'll be that, like they do in many other municipalities. But you guys won't do that. And then you make these arguments.
Yeah, just stay home. Let them do their effing job, just like COVID, just like Fauci, right? Let them do their job. 2 weeks to slow the curve. Come on, we're all in this together. Don't be the asshole that goes against the rule. The rules are clear. Stay out of their way. Stay home. No one gets hurt. We all go back to normal when the job's done. Well, what's the end game? Well, just let them do it. And they told us 2 weeks or something. I don't know. Maybe it'll be another 2 weeks if you guys keep going outside. It's going to be another 2 weeks, and it's going to be another 2 weeks. And before you know it, it's going to be 2 years. It's going to be 2 years, and all your kids are going to be doing school on Zoom, and it's going to be your fault. So let's just nip this in the bud now, Carolla and Megyn Kelly. Stay at home so we can slow the curve of these illegal immigrants Let the assholes do their job, because it's a really hard job. And you don't want to get them emotionally stirred up. So just stay home, follow instructions, don't ask questions. And if you break the rules, if you die, that's your fault. That's your fault. That's your fault. Okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up for us, you guys. Fortunately, we're talking about real fake news. Fortunately, we covered this Fox News correspondent, Jessica Tarlov, has actually been at least putting herself in a position where now she's got 4 other people around her. The show called The Five. It's pretty awful show generally, but she makes some good points, and she's doing it on Fox News. So we got to give her a little credit that she's bringing this stuff up. She's actually saying, wait a minute. Sounds very hypocritical. Sounds very hypocritical to conveniently call Pretty a domestic terrorist, but Kyle Rittenhouse, well, he was a hero when he brought his gun out to a protest, right?
And the president.
Have you seen the body cam video? I was unaware you had.
You know what? It's going to exonerate all the agents. You're completely right. Stephen Miller saying an assassin tried to murder federal agents, and this is your response. And J.D. Vance retweeting it says something about where this administration is and how they're considering it before and after the murder of Alex Preddy. And this will go down in history as a turning point for this. Greg Bovino wouldn't be leaving tomorrow if an innocent person wasn't killed. And the double standards that are being employed for how you have to behave versus how these agents have to behave is mind-boggling to me. Kyle Rittenhouse was a conservative hero, right, for walking into a protest, actually brandishing a weapon. But this guy who had a legal permit to carry and already had his gun removed, to some people, I guess, is some sort of instigator when he was actually going to help a woman who had been pushed down and tear-gassed by ICE. We have the right to protest.
Great. Thank you for saying the obvious. And probably the only person on Fox News saying that right now. Very good. Very good. Happy she at least got that out. Is it going to change anything? I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. Fox News audience pretty locked in. But I mean, everybody's pretty much locked in when you're still watching mainstream, right? You're pretty much locked in. Well, what she's suggesting here is there is a hypocrisy here, especially coming from the right, who they champion gun rights. They've always championed gun rights. So it's interesting to see this kind of a maneuver. I thought that Treasury Secretary Bessent also, it's infuriating to see what he did when he went on mainstream to discuss all of a sudden the techniques of a conservative base, the techniques of MAGA, the techniques of a red colored party that always was about the Second Amendment. All of a sudden is not. Let's watch how Scott Bessent turns this on ABC news anchor on This Week, and watch the news anchor get uncomfortable with this. And it's very well rehearsed. I got to give Scott Bessent credit, but take it away. Do the spin where all of a sudden right-wing gun nut Second Amendment people all of a sudden don't want to have anything to do with guns at all, because it's your fault if you get killed because you have a gun on you. Here we go.
Sorry that this gentleman is dead, but he did bring a 9mm semi-automatic weapon with 2 cartridges to what was supposed to be a peaceful protest. I think that there are a lot of...
By the way, he's just saying that about the 2 cartridges. He's just saying that. That's just, we saw, you guys saw the fake picture of the fake gun from stock footage. We don't, they're trying to pretend he had it in his hand when he didn't. So they've come up with a narrative. So let's take it for face value. Still, try to explain to the audience why all of a sudden guns are the problem and you should never have one on you. Even if you believe in the Second Amendment, you should never have an actual gun on you, or it's your fault what happens to you.
Agitators who are ginning things up, and the governor has not done a good job at tamping this down.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, he was an ICU nurse, worked for the Veterans Administration, and there's no evidence that he brandished the gun whatsoever. In fact, it appears that he was disarmed before
he brought a gun. Have you ever gone to a protest, Jonathan?
I mean, we do have a Second Amendment in this country that...
Jonathan, have you ever gone to a protest?
I mean...
have you gone to a protest?
I mean, no, actually, as a reporter covering it.
Okay, I've been to a protest. Yeah. Guess what? I didn't bring a gun. I brought a billboard.
Okay.
You brought a billboard? No, you didn't. I know you didn't, Scott Bessent. I know you didn't. You know how I know? Because we don't call them effing billboards. What are you talking about, billboard? What do you no? You haven't been to a protest. Don't do that spin where if the guy you're talking to, whether he's gone to one or he's a news anchor, probably never. None of you guys in your suits and ties have been to protests, other than if you're working. You'd never show. Are you effing kidding me? Billboard. It's called a sign, you idiot. By the way, Scott Besson, if you guys have been following our show, you would know, and Code Pink knows, because they went and called his ass out. This is the guy that does the sanctions. This is the guy that destroys the economies of all the countries we want to invade and take their shit. This is the guy. This is the guy justifying that Iran needs to be toppled. Because why? Because we decided to initiate sanctions that destroy them economically and make life unbearable. That's him. No, Scott Besson, I can guarantee you this a-hole has not been to a protest because nobody calls signs billboards. Total idiot. And the news anchor should have called him out on this. Like, I don't think they're called billboards, dude. But okay, let's get to the real heart of this story, because now, okay, we know what camp everyone's in, right? We know the playbook. We know the script. We know what the tribe is telling everyone. Let's give Jon Stewart a chance. You guys know he came back doing Daily Show. We're not totally fans, but every once in a while he's been getting some stuff right. He's been taking a little more accountability for the tribal game, and he has been calling out more of the war machine. He's been calling out genocide in Gaza, and it's not totally Trump derangement syndrome. But notice the show is called The Daily Show, and I think that's if you do the acronym on that one, it's The Daily Show, TDS. Never mind. Just TDS. That's the show. Let's see if Jon Stewart can walk his audience through the hypocrisy of the situation and the right all of a sudden, practically overnight, becoming anti-gun. Check it out.
All of the administration's descriptions of the events and reasoning behind the events fell apart. The right did seem to coalesce on one aspect of the incident.
When you are bearing arms and you are confronted by law enforcement, you are raising the risk of force being used against you.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want.
I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign.
Don't let the left kid you with this, that this is just a normal protest. Peaceful protesters don't have 9mm weapons with 2 extra magazines.
Are you f***ing kidding me right now? Are you f***ing kidding? Are you saying, is that what you're saying on the right? Is that what the right, are you saying that the problem was the guy had a gun? Are you saying that the guns are the problem? Are you saying, if I may,
And this is great. This is great. This particular moment, he's exposing the fact that this is 100% tribal, not based on any principle, and it's starting to feel like it never actually was. It never actually was. The gun issue is a hard one. You have the NRA controlling both sides. Every time there's an incident, you have the right talking about, guns don't kill people, people kill people. You got the right saying we need to get rid of guns, or you got the left saying we need to get rid of guns. Nobody's really talking about mental illness. No one's talking about media propaganda. And we're not talking about the pharma, right? Drugs. We're not talking about anything other than gun, no gun. Guess who makes money every time? The NRA. Every time people go out and get more guns after an incident. So he's calling this out, that this was never about principle for the right. Let's see if he goes any further here.
everyone on the right coming together to say carrying a legal firearm was the problem? Am I hearing things? Is that really what you're saying? This is blowing my fucking mind. The people that brought you this guy and these guys as fucking heroes who are brandishing their weapons are telling you the big mistake was letting a citizen legally carry a gun. I mean,
okay, just pause there. This is important to understand. Why does Jon Stewart stop there? Is he too dumb to know that he stopped short of drawing the real connection? If you're going to tell us that these guys, which he's right about, these guys have swapped. If Kyle Rittenhouse, if January 6ers, if COVID protesters, if they were heroes, how come Alex Preddy isn't a hero? Great point. Are you now willing to look at the fact that maybe Kyle Rittenhouse, COVID protesters, and J6 protesters weren't actually domestic terrorists, as all the left thought? Are we willing to be wrong, to understand that they were wrong about that? That it's not just this administration and the right that is flipped. It's also the people that say Alex Preddy deserved to have a gun on him and was murdered by ICE and did not deserve it. Can we now reflect and say that the feds in the street in January 6th, that the Capitol Police, that they were the ones that were acting dishonestly, that they were the ones putting protesters in a position where they were then smeared as domestic terrorists? Are we able to see that now? Or is it only, or you're allowed to say these people are hypocrites, but not the other people that may be on the right side now? You're not going to reflect and say, maybe you got J6 wrong. Maybe you got COVID wrong. Maybe you got Kyle Rittenhouse wrong. So that part's not going to happen. Okay. So Jon Stewart, even though you're making these points, you're also keeping people in their tribes. Is that because he doesn't understand it, or is it because it's on purpose? That's a tough one. Before I play the rest, this is a good point. Makes sense? 1, 2, 3, go. Isn't Jon Stewart the guy that pinned a medal on a Ukrainian Nazi at Disney World? Yes, he is. That's the guy. And I cannot comprehend that nobody has pointed that out to him, that he hasn't looked into that since. So he knows the things that he gets wrong, but he never corrects those things. He knows that when he brings on COVID doctors to pretend to have a panel, but they're all pharma reps pretending to have a debate about COVID, never once does he bring on an actual medical freedom movement doctor who has been banned, who has lost their license or has been punished on social media, did not take the bribe money. He didn't have anybody come on about that. He didn't have Mary Talley Bowden. He didn't have Peter McCullough. He didn't have Dr. Pierre Corey. He didn't have these people. No. So does Jon Stewart know what he's doing? That's the question of the day. Does Jon Stewart know that he's only doing half the story? And we give him credit when he gets it right. One of his greatest moments was going on Stephen Colbert and calling Stephen Colbert out for the BS, stupid-ass narrative that COVID came from a monkey and a bat. He talked about that the gain of function. That was the conversation to have. So every once in a while, he tells you the first half of the story, but then we don't get the second half. So I think that's what's happening here. And I know these clips have been going around Twitter. People are really excited that Stewart's getting this right, but he's only giving us half the story, and it's probably on purpose. Let's hear the rest.
Listen, I wasn't shocked when you guys gave up the First Amendment, and I wasn't shocked when you gave up the Fourth Amendment and the 10th Amendment and the 14th Amendment at Trump's behest. But the second.
Again, half the story. This is half the story. The right was willing to give up all of their rights. And the second is the one they should have held on to the tightest, and they didn't. And this really shows you what tribal think does to you. It's a sickness. But he's not telling you the other half. What did the Democrats give up during COVID? They gave up free speech. They shunned their neighbors. They said, get in line. They gave up bodily autonomy. No more right to choose. My body, my choice. Out the window. Has Jon Stewart covered that? No, he has not. He has not. I would have seen that clip by now. That would have gone viral, crazy viral. If Jon Stewart at one point in the last few years had just said, you know, the left effed up. The Daily Show effed up. They went and mocked Canadian protesters, the trucker convoy in Canada. They went there. They sent Jordan Clipper, comedian Clipper, up there to mock protesters who are protesting for bodily autonomy. So yes, this is crazy. The face he's making in this freeze frame, that's the feeling of, are you effing kidding me? The right just gave up their guns. Their entire philosophy gone because of tribal think. But he won't tell you what the left gave up. They also gave up anti-war stance. That's why none of them showed up with us to DC to do Rage Against the War Machine, against the Ukraine proxy war. None of them were there. Rachel Maddow was mocking us out there, saying it was just a bunch of commies and Russian infiltrators and right-wing wackos. Makes no sense. Right-wingers showing up to an anti-war protest. Where are the lefties? Why is Bernie Sanders having people arrested at his rallies who said, why are you keep giving money to Ukraine? So we talk about giving up the values of your party, and he's only going to do half the story. So again, good point here, John. But he's deliberately, I believe now, the more I think this through, he's deliberately stopping there. Maybe his audience can't even handle it. Maybe if he did, just hypothetically, imagine if he just did another few minutes, put a little more effort in here, and show us that you're not so good yourself, are you? The guy that's in the street on the right side now, where were you for COVID? Where were you for the war machine? All your Ukrainian flags and your social, not to mention the genocide. Where were you when Biden was the one writing the checks? Where were you? Oh, now it's Trump's genocide? Okay. Well, I think John has brought that up, that both parties have definitely funded the Israel ethnic cleansing genocide. He has brought that up, so that's good. But look at how powerful this tribal thing can. Look what it can do to you. It can make gun nuts say no to guns.
Come on, guys. Guns are your whole personality. Guns are your Zoom backgrounds, your decorative lapel pins. Guns are how you show displeasure at documents. Guns are your Christmas cards. There's no human activity that can't be made better without the pulsing heat of your Armalite best friends.
Of course, in Texas, we cook bacon a little differently than most folks. Machine gun bacon.
And that's how brazen they lie when they know we've seen the truth. That's how they lie when they know we know. Imagine how they lie when there's no evidence to contradict them. And maybe that more than anything explains why Alex Preddy really was a threat. Because he was brandishing a weapon. A handheld, aluminum, 1080p, 60 FPS weapon of mass illumination. Because there is nothing more dangerous to a regime predicated on lies than witnesses who capture the truth.
And we'll end that on a high note. That's an excellent point. It does seem that that's the thing they're most scared of, is the camera. So this is why we need people to continue going outside, continue going to these dangerous situations and getting up there and getting the video, getting the shot. That's the most important thing, is capturing this, because we're not seeing body cam footage, and they don't have to show it. They don't want to show it. They're investigating themselves. They're still investigating Renee Good, even though the car's been impounded and probably junked. The crime scene, right? The crime scenes they're always covered over immediately. So, yeah, good point. This is at least a good sentiment at the end for Jon Stewart. We'll definitely credit him when he gets things right, but we have to call it out when he doesn't. It could be worse. Maybe he wouldn't be doing this at all if it was another host, one of the Trevor Noah idiot. I mean, this is one step better than that. I guess we could say what we call it the lesser. Oh, there we go. The lesser two evils, I guess, would be Jon Stewart. I'd take him over Trevor Noah. But there you go. Everyone's in their camps. The news is doing what they do best. They keep us in our tribes, and nobody is actually reporting the full story. But that's what we get when we're following the news, right? On a real fake news update, not brought to you by Pfizer. By the way, all those other ones are kind of brought to you by Pfizer. That's the point. That's the point. Okay. Moving on, guys. Appreciate all of the engagement today. We're just getting into some more show here. We got a bunch more stuff coming up here. I think we're ready to start the next one. And let's see here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got our dissident. Thank you guys from Do Dissidents. Welcome, DD. Yeah, get a little peace sign, a little what's up to DD. If you guys are first time here on our channel, The Homeless Left, go ahead and hit the like, hit the subscribe. You guys will get notified, hopefully, when we go live. And we got more show for you guys. This is the non-tribal approach to news network, The Homeless Left. I'm Matt Weinglass. We're going to be cutting very soon to Minneapolis with Craig Foster Jardula, who's on the ground right now covering the most up-to-date ICE happenings and the people out there in freezing effing cold. It's going to be ice pasta on ice, but pasta to go generally is not this cold. But you might want to get your heaters ready and your temperatures on for that. That's coming up in a little bit. But right now, let's go ahead and get to the TikTok story. Okay, you guys know that TikTok has been captured. This deal has been in the works. We hadn't technically been able to say that the deal was done, but we know the guy getting it. They can say, oh, he's not really involved. It's his son. But we know the deal. We know Larry Ellison's been behind all of these acquisitions. Democracy Now! Put this out a few days ago. This is Larry Ellison's Oracle is part of the new deal to own U.S. version of TikTok. Oh, it is. Oh, really? Oracle's part of TikTok. Well, that's weird. Why would an Israeli spy network, spy company, spy tech for Israel be a part of a social media platform where people should have free speech? That's very strange, right? Well, no, this is exactly what we expected. So, and I love how Democracy Now! Is introducing Larry Ellison to their audience as if they never heard of him before. And we know a lot of people haven't heard of Larry Ellison. It's very weird. It's very weird. You had people going out in the streets doing no kings, no king, no King Trump. But the silent king was Larry Ellison the whole time. And they can't even put him in. They have to introduce him. A major Trump billionaire ally is now the partial owner of the social media platform TikTok. A group of investors, including Larry Ellison's company Oracle, agreed to the $14 billion deal to give him control of the U.S. version of the platform being spun off from ByteDance, a Chinese-owned company. And there you go. The Chinese-owned part is how you keep the right on board, that you have to get that. We got to get that back from China. China's the problem. So at least we got Larry Ellison, one of our own, to take over so we can keep it in control with U.S. And that's why Congress banned, as Democracy Now! Points out, in 2024, during the end of Biden's reign, both sides of Congress backed the TikTok ban, and they claimed the national security concerns because of China. That is the spin, and Democracy Now! Is still spinning that story. The point is, Ellison was going to get it all the time. Trump had allowed the platform to keep operating as the deal was worked out. Ellison is also the largest shareholder of Paramount, the parent company of CBS. So he's got Paramount, he's got CBS, he's got CNN, he's got TikTok. Wow, this guy is doing very well. Well, let's see what Blakely points out about the second that the app was taken, the second this deal went in. Check this out. This happened immediately when you look at the numbers. Check it out.
So yesterday, TikTok was sold to an American company. Today, January 23rd, guess what search spiked up by 1,000%? Reasons to love Israel. Spiked up literally yesterday. This is how much people were searching reasons to love Israel yesterday. Okay? And suddenly, TikTok gets sold yesterday, and immediately there are over 2,000 search insights on reasons to love Israel. And now reasons to love Israel is a trending topic the day after TikTok gets sold. So what this tells me is allegedly TikTok in the US is being lobbied by one of these organizations in order to promote reasons to love Israel on the For You page. So for everyone saying that one of the biggest reasons the US wanted to control TikTok was because of this reason right here, allegedly, you are correct.
Yep. And that's pretty much what we've been kind of on this the whole way, guys. So this isn't a surprise to us. Well, let's hear the CEO of TikTok is going to tell us exactly what the new rules are. They're going to tell us. He's going to tell us how it's going to work now that Ellison owns the company. Be ready for this little double standard about Zionism. When is it okay to say Zionism? When is it not? Well, he'll explain it. So pay attention. Get out your notes, guys. You're going to want to pay attention to this because if you word your post a little wrong, there will be penalties. There will be consequences. Check it out.
A change to designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist. But if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech.
Okay, I just got to get this right. So if we use Zionist to say you're a Zionist, that's bad. But if the person we're calling a Zionist says, I am a Zionist, that's good. Okay. Little weird, but he's saying this like, of course that makes sense. You can call yourself a psychopath, but somebody calls you a psychopath, that's hate speech. The psychopath can say, I'm a psychopath. But if you say, wait, what did you say? Did you just say you're a psychopath? Strike, you're out. You can't say the thing that the person just said they were. So they're proud of being a psychopath. People that are anti-Zionist, we're anti-Zionist. It's a philosophy that we don't go for. It's a Jewish supremacy. That's what it is. Jewish supremacy. We're totally against that. It doesn't make sense. But he's saying, well, that'll be the crime. That'll be the thing that'll get you kicked off the platform. Anything else?
To be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech.
In other words, we're not going to stop. This isn't the end point. They've been working on this. This didn't just happen overnight. They've been working on this the last year and a half here. We saw the people getting kicked off. We saw people having to close their accounts all throughout last year. So this didn't just come up out of nowhere. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people on the left that are just now discovering this. They're like, who's Larry Ellison? What's going on? Wait, what happened at TikTok? Uh-oh, what do we do? No, this has been in the works, like he said. And there is no end game here. We just keep doing it. And we do it harder, we do it harder, and we do it harder. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Well, let's see what's happening to some of these users right now on TikTok. And believe me, guys, we never wanted to start. We started our channel. People are saying, are you guys going to be on TikTok? Hell no. Hell no, we're not going to be on TikTok. This sounds This sounds absolutely awful. Absolutely awful what's happened to people on TikTok. Just one example, the Tennessee Holler update. TikTok is cooked. Our TikTok US videos went from tens of thousands to 0, seemingly a direct result of Trump and Bibi's friends taking over. And that's a great way to call it. Of course, it's Trump and Bibi's friends. By the way, it's also Biden and Kamala's friends and Debbie Wasserman Schwartz's friends and Chuck Schumer's friends and John Fetterman friends. All of the friends, they're all super friends together. All super Zio friends, all of them. But that's a nice way to say, yeah, this is not a strictly Oracle business. We got capitalism rules, right? You just, hey, the market will work itself out, right? Right, all you capitalists, right? The market has a way of working itself out. It's called free market, baby. And Larry was just better at doing money stuff, right? He was just better at that money stuff. We can get better at money stuff too and just work a little harder. And maybe one day we can come out ahead. Not anything to do with Trump and Bibi and the entire duopoly being behind this entire thing the whole way. Nothing to do with that. Totally just honest capitalism, right? Well, let's see what happened to these guys. Look at this. This is absolutely, this is insane. You go from hundreds of thousands of views and engagement to all of a sudden 27 likes. Wow. People saying, I just seen this now, 9 hours after it was posted. I mean, this is, and 4 replies, 1 reply. This was overnight. This is an example of an overnight problem with a particular account. But they didn't just snap their fingers and do this. But this is how they can take you out. It can happen instantaneously, like it did to this account here. Now look, this is the part, and Ken Clipperstein pushes that. Now this is a great tweet because he's being facetious. Shout out to Democrat Raja Krimuthi. Now what it's saying is that for introducing legislation that forced TikTok the sale in the first place. So this is going back and saying, guess what? Remember what we told you at the front of this segment? Do you remember what we said? That everyone on both sides of Congress in 2024, at the end of Biden's administration, everyone voted for this. They all are part of this. This set the framework deal. To do that in 2024, to do the pause on TikTok, allowed everyone to kind of get on the chessboard and maneuver this to the way that it became obtainable for Oracle, Larry Ellison, and as the previous post said, Trump and Netanyahu and all their little superhero trusted friends. That's what this was. Okay. So now what? What do you do at this point? Now that TikTok has been infested, we're trying really hard to hang on to Twitter. We know that Bibi is really wanting getting his hands on TikTok. On Twitter. We know he's talking about, let's just nudge Elon in the right direction. We almost got him. Blah blah blah, like that. But again, people that are just realizing this, they are like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And you got people like Bernie. This is important. Bernie is now for the first time talking about this. For the first time. He didn't say a word about this last year. Isn't that interesting? Because his friend Joe Biden, my good friend Joe Biden, we talk every night. We have discussions about healthcare. We talk about, taking on pharma. After we, smear RFK Jr., we got to tick on pharma. I talk to him every night. He's my friend, good friend Joe Biden. He's going to defeat Trump, the greatest threat we've ever had. Bernie just now figured out. He just now figured it out. Thanks to Trump, right-wing multi-billionaire Larry Ellison, I just figured out who he was. I didn't know who he was until I looked it up. But apparently, because I've been out doing no kings against Trump, I didn't know Larry Ellison was buying everything. He will now control TikTok algorithm along with CBS, MTV, The Free Press, BET, CMT, Simon & Schuster, Nickelodeon, Paramount Plus, Pluto TV, and more. Yeah, this is what oligarchy looks like. And I told you we were going to be taking on the oligarchy. I told you that in 2015, 2016. Just figured out who Larry Ellison is. Sorry, guys, I'm late to the table. And I'm sorry that everybody voted. We voted unanimously in 2024 to do the TikTok pause, to set this deal up. We all did. So I'm seeing Bernie Forevers right now freaking out because they're sharing this out and they're going, oh my God, we need to plan another protest. Well, didn't you guys already do your No Kings 1 and 2? Why wasn't there any Larry Ellison pictures with crowns and a cross and an X over his head? Why was it Trump everywhere? Why did you have Trump with Nazi mustache, with Hitler mustaches? Why didn't you see any Larry Ellison signs? It's really weird there. I guess people, it takes a while. I guess we must be smarter than all them, right? That's the only explanation. Or they did it on purpose. Okay, so back to the question. What now? What do these users do now that are waking up in the morning and saying, what happened to my hundreds of thousands of people following me? Why are only 14 people seeing my post? What do you do? Well, apparently, the word on the street, and we're gonna this part is important because this all happened at the same time. This all happened at the same time. Are you ready? You ready for the solution? I'm doing solution in air quotes, so don't hold your breath. But here comes the solution. UpScrolled. Breaking. Thousands of users on X are migrating to a new social media app called UpScrolled, which claims to avoid algorithmic censorship. It claims to. Well, I guess that's a solution. If I've been spending the last several years on TikTok, my account sucks now. I can't do anything. Okay. Well, let's go over to UpScroll. Let's check it out first. How about we check it out first? What's going on? What's going on over there on UpScroll? Well, first of all, let's look at the timeline. Well, did anyone notice that the UpScroll app started the same day as TikTok effectively was killed off? What a coincidence. An instant solution to the problem. How convenient. Yeah, there wasn't any like in-between time of what are we going to do, right? It was immediately available. But don't worry, you can trust it. Okay, so we're going to be skeptically optimistic looking into this one. Well, okay. Well, who's the CEO? That I would like to know that. Who is the CEO of UpScroll? Maybe we can get a little background on this guy, right? Because, he can't be as bad as Larry Ellison or that other guy you just heard from that told you how great 2024 was for bringing in this new empire on TikTok. Okay, well, let's hear from him himself. This is the CEO of UpScroll. Here we go.
Give us, some hope, like Microsoft, they're not doing this minor, and then we're happy because the UN said, oh, we recognize the state of Palestine. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, end the genocide, that's when you will have our respect. Just giving us wars and having people continue to be killed every single day.
Oh my gosh, he sounds like an anti-genocider. Turns out he's Palestinian. Let's hear a little more.
As we speak now, that doesn't solve the problem. I mean, we shouldn't be happy or hopeful so much when we hear the UN or some politicians say, oh, we recognize this. I mean, who the fuck cares about what you say? We recognize Palestine since 1948 and before that. Shadow banning really, in simple terms, is the process that these big tech companies impose systematically to restrict the content reach for its users. Things like against the policy, against the regularity, and really what they mean is against the propaganda that they serve or the people that they serve.
Okay. Well, he's saying all the right things, right? He's saying all the right things. He's talking about the war machine, the extermination of Palestinians. He is Palestinian. He's talking about shadow banning and how he understands how this tech works to divide and conquer, and he really seems to understand the propaganda machine. Just on the surface level, it seems I'm getting a good vibe from him. Way better vibe than these other psychopaths, right? These other Zionists. He can't be a Zionist, right? Because he's saying all the things that a Zionist would not say. Okay. Well, let's look a little closer. And again, this is why I put in air quotes earlier, the solution. This is our solution. So not only did the owner of UpScroll work for Oracle, oh God, he worked. Okay, well, maybe he was just in there, like you're in enemy territory, so you can learn how things work. So he knows all the stuff Larry Ellison knows, right? Well, he also worked for IBM and Hitachi, all complicit in Israel's oppression of the Palestinians. Wait, what? Okay. So he worked for all the companies that were against Palestinians, that were pro-Israel, that were pro-Zionist. But that must be because he just wanted to get in on with the back. He was in with the enemy, so he can learn about it. You know, he can apply that to the new app. UpScroll's not going to be like that, right? So, but he held senior roles at all three companies and very young. So he done all this very early in life. And so Hitachi aids West Bank demolitions, IBM backed settlements, and Israel police. And you guys know what Oracle's about. That's the big one. And that's the one that made Larry Ellison all his money. That's what made him ultimately the second richest person in the world. Okay. So what else is so he learned all these techniques from being in enemy territory, right? Well, this is him, right? This is him. This is Issam Hajizi. He's a senior data integration engineer at Oracle, covering a wide range of interrogation products that helps organizations around the world to understand and build the right data foundation. He's enthusiastic about big data and a data scientist evangelist. He got into the technology world at a very young age and coded his very first line at the age of 10. Since then, he's built substantial experience in many areas and mastered many products from industry leaders such as Oracle, IBM, Microsoft, which also was complicit in the Israeli tech, the spyware that murdered hundreds of thousands of Palestinians and South Lebanese and Yemenis. So all of these companies, MapR and many others, Issam's known to be the guy to go to when things get complicated and no one else has a solution. So I guess he's the man for the job. Look, I'm not going to say 100% this guy is captured. He might as well just be a Zionist. He's a wolf in sheep clothing. I'm not going to just come out and say that. However, if he doesn't come out and say, hey, everyone, I've learned some techniques from the bad guys. I've worked for the monster himself, the psychopath, silent king himself, Larry Ellison. I got his secret. I know what he's done. I know how he's used that against people and killed people, killed Palestinians like me, and I'm going to use it for good. If he could just come out and say that, well, that won't change too much, but at least it'll keep me optimistically, skeptical. But right now, without any statement from him and the timing, obviously the company didn't just boom exist overnight, but it became available, and it's where people flock to immediately, setting up accounts for UpScroll immediately. And this is the guy that's in charge. And to me, it's like you got this AOC, Bernie, Mandami kind of vibe where you're saying all the right things, but what's actually happening behind the scenes? Well, time will tell. But let's not celebrate too early. If you guys feel the need to start an UpScroll account, go for it. I'm going to keep my eye on it. We're going to keep our eye on it here at the Homeless Left. See where it goes. But obviously, there's no other like perfect scenario. We don't have that. So we're going to be open to this one, but just don't pretend for a second that everything is roses and peaches and rainbows. It's not. It's not. So if he's not captured yet, they will be working on it. So remember that, just like they're working on with Elon and all his shadow banning that we have to deal with on Twitter every single day, every single night, we deal with that. So let's be hopeful, but let's be grounded here and know that this battle it's not as easy just to say we're going to another platform. Always stay skeptical. All right. We'll stay on this story. We'll stay on it. Okay. That's it for that one. Okay. I think we're about queued up here with pasta. Let's make sure here. Okay. And I see you guys have made some good comments on this. We're going to look, like I said, we're going to continue to look into it on our end. I think, Leah, let's go ahead and grab the stuff here. Okay. Here we go. All right, guys. Things are getting hot and heavy. And I don't mean that literally. It's actually cold as ice. Cold as ice in Minneapolis right now. But things are certainly hot and heavy when you talk about the tension in the street. The fact that this, as we've heard originally from Stephen Miller, from J.D. Vance, when this thing first started escalating a few weeks back, telling us that these ICE agents have total immunity and they get to do whatever they effing want. Now since then, since the death of Renee Good, and now we have Alex Preddy, they've had to walk a little stuff back here. We know that they can't be fully telling us that anybody that gets in the way is a domestic terrorist. They did say that originally about Alex Preddy, that he was a domestic terrorist. Now there's a kind of an issue with the messaging and the packaging of this narrative, and they did have to take a step back. And if you guys didn't hear the word, Gregory Bovino, that was the commander of the U.S. Border Patrol, is now officially out, and it looks like the border czar, Tom Homan, is now in his place. Does that mean anything good has come from that? Who knows? But they do seem like they don't have their plans 100% airtight right now and are having to make adjustments, and that's good. Does that have anything to do with the people on the ground? Well, I hope it does. I hope it does. So we're going to hear from Craig Pasta in just a moment here. But first of all, let's just remind people what is actually happening on the news networks as they try and keep people in their lanes right now. This is how Fox is reporting the environment right now, and this doesn't sit well with us at all.
We just have a few moments here, but it seems to be some smoke is rising. I don't know if these are smoke bombs. It was peaceful when we began to talk, and we noted that rhetoric really matters now, and calming tensions really matters. What are we seeing on our screens now? What's your analysis of this?
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to keep things calm and, diffuse the tension. Again, Kaylee, this is not what agents ever want to have happen. It's insulting to hear this governor make it seem like, this is the wild, wild west and this is what they want to be doing. This is not what they want to be doing. They are literally enforcing the laws. These are targeted interactions. These are targeted operations. They are simply doing their job. And again, without the details of who the subject is, whether they were someone that they were arresting, whether they...
So you notice what's happening here is Fox is trying to maintain this BS narrative that the ICE agents are just responding to the chaos and not creating it. This looks like they're creating it. This has been identified as chemical weapons, chemicals being sprayed in the air. We hear the term pepper spray as if that's some sort of like totally cool to get that in your eye and your face. But the chemicals that are being dispersed and put into the environment that are being breathed in by everybody there, this is not okay. This is an attack on the American people. They're certainly not calming anything. They're attacking. That's what's happening. And the people that have signed up for this job, they have no interest in de-escalating. This is all escalating. That's what this is. And I can tell you guys, I've worked in security, and I can tell you there's a different type of person that gets involved. You can tell what type of person that comes into a position of power, which whether it's police, whether it's security, where I've worked with guys like this. What they do is they come in to rough stuff up. They come in to get aggressive. They come in to escalate, not to de-escalate. This is exactly the type of person that's attracted to ICE. And there's a reason maybe they signed up to be a police officer and they didn't, for some reason, they weren't psychotic. The psychotic test, they were a little too psychotic. You only have to be semi-psychotic to become a police officer. If you're too psychotic, you won't get the job. And you have to do something else and resort to something like security, or when a $50,000 bonus comes up, sign up for ICE now, like Dean Cain, Superman. You can become one of these people. That they're not there to de-escalate. They're there to escalate. So what do we do about it? Well, when we had the opportunity, and Craig Pasta had the opportunity to go to the story. That's what he teaches us here at the Homeless Left. You go to the story. And you get it yourself. So Pasta has gone out as of last night, went out to Minneapolis on the ground, boots on the ground, as we say, to cover what's really happening there. So let's hear from Pasta right now. Here's a video he uploaded, and then my conversation with him after. check it out. We're getting to the bottom of it, and this is how we do it here on the Homeless Left. Here we go.
So we're here right now. We're in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Actually, this is the second wave of protesters. The first wave of protesters were kettled away, tear gassed, and told it was an unlawful assembly. What's going on? This is the Springfield Suites here in Maple Grove. It's the place we believe Gregory Bovino is staying with other ICE agents, other Border Patrol agents. And they're here to let them know that it's time for them to go home. We're going to stay here, see what's going on. This is actually the second wave. Don't know if they're going to try to be kettled out or tear gassed out, but that's it. Costa Jardula, live on the scene.
Okay, now let's go check in right now in Minneapolis with co-host Craig Pasa Jardula. Hey, Craig. How's it going?
And I saw that little smirk you gave me. I have the same type of smirk. It's great to be doing this work with you. It is crazy times out there. I think there's a very big misconception of what a lot of these people are out here doing. Some of them, Matt, they don't want to go on camera and stuff. But the question, and the number one question I am asking them, paid agitator or passionate protester? And 95% of the people, of course, are saying passionate protester. In fact, I haven't even caught somebody who said paid agitator. And then I ask them why they're here. And you know, you got people of all different types of walks of life, old people, young people, doctors, lawyers were out here, literally just people in the community who are so fed up from what they're seeing from this, what they consider to be a Gestapo-like federal task force that's lawless, and they want them out and they want them gone. So thank you for having me on to talk about this.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the paid agitator, paid protester. That's a line we get immediately after an incident goes down. This is the sentiment they want to present to their side. When I say their side, I mean anybody supporting this administration that thinks that the only reason people would show out anyways is because they must be getting a paycheck. They can't possibly actually be concerned about our Bill of Rights, about our Constitution, about the well-being of our fellow human beings. So like that's so thank you for being there so you can set the record straight. Since you've gotten there, can you give us kind of a sense of what the climate has been like since the murder of Alex Pretty, who was, I guess we know, obviously was a U.S. citizen, but also an ICU nurse.
He was also a veteran, right?
Yeah,
I believe too,
right.
as well. Well, the climate is cold. I got these heat warmers over here. Matt, I have never been in this type of cold weather my whole life. I mean, going to the bathroom is a big ordeal over here because you got layers beyond layers and stuff. I just arrived last night. And there's a lot of talk, obviously, in the media. We're keeping our eyes and our ears open to what's going on behind the scenes, what's going on with the administration. Now, the thing that we're talking about, and we're trying to get a sense of the people out here, how they feel about the fact that Gregory Bovino, which was where I was at last night, it was a protest at his hotel. Now, that's the second time something like that happened. The night before we got here at the Hilton 2 Suites, they were out in front of that area where they believe Border Patrol agents were there and ICE agents were staying. They vandalized some of the front windows, some of the cars that were out there. Eventually, the federal agents showed up and tear gassed the situation. And it was kind of a little bit of a craziness because the local and state police were circling the area so they can hope to get some arrest. Because even though it might seem like Tim Walz is for the protest, he's told his administration, his police officers, we believe this is suspected, to use force and get these quelled down. In other words, let the state and the city local police handle these situations so the feds don't come in. In this particular case, the feds didn't coordinate with the state. They tear gassed the place. Chaos broke out. They didn't make many arrests, and they were gone. Last night, they were believed with Greg Bovino, who is the Border Patrol commander, who's actually lost his position here and is being sent away, right? Tom Hooman, the border czar, is set to come in. Well, they believe he was at a hotel. They did the same thing again. Matt, I talked to a couple people behind the scenes here. They didn't want to go on camera, but they are very well organized. In fact, what Renee Good was doing is a system that is set up. In other words, you got the police clocking everybody, watching everybody, looking into our stuff, thrusting, violating our civil liberties, using every single tactic they can. Well, they're watching them too. In other words, the protesters and the organizers have set up a system where they're in front of this thing called the Federal Whipple Building. It's the Bishop Whipple Federal Building where the ICE agents are staying. That's the backdrop where most of the protesters are there, but they're watching these people come out and they're following them. They're writing down their license plates. They're knowing who they are. In other words, they're not letting up. They don't want them here. And they're saying, we're watching you. We're following you the way you're watching us. So that's what's really going on. That's why you see this kind of like intensify within the administration, because they understand what's going on. I don't think the everyday people understand, what's going on. And they might say, well, that's wrong. Let law enforcement do their job. No, talking to these protesters, they consider this administration and this Gestapo tactics of sorts to be unlawful, un-American, and illegal. So what we got going on here doesn't look like it's going to ease down anytime soon. They're bringing in Tom Homan because supposedly he's supposed to be less intense. And also the White House is now walking back these calls of what Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller said that Alex Peretti was a domestic terrorist. They're walking that back right now. There seems to be a change in tactic and mentality, but that's not going to stop these people on the street, Matt. They're ready. They're riled up. We're finding out, oh, there's a protest breaking out over here. Oh, there's a protest breaking out over there. And we're heading to those areas. And I think it's just going to heat up until all the ICE agents are gone. And we heard that they might be pulling out some ICE agents, but now we hear that they're staying. So we don't know what's going on. It's still up in the air, but it is definitely chaotic on the scene. Law enforcement everywhere. This is the stuff we saw in Chicago, maybe at a smaller level right now because they were prepared for so many people going. But the state and local people, state and local police, they've been acting a little barbaric. And right now, Tim Walz has to watch his ass because from what we hear is a lot of people are finding out that Tim Walz is the one who's directing the city and the state police to use force, tear gas, or whatever methods they have to break up these protests. So right now it's anarchy almost of sorts.
So the switch out between Greg Bovino and Tom Homan, is that because the on the ground activity that has kind of called out this contradiction of the White House and them having to push back the statement? Or do you think that was something that was in the works anyways, just to kind of keep things, unstable? And is this Tom Homan going to be any different anyways? Does it even matter that they're switching these guys out? Or is this because people were loud enough to call out the BS on what they called Alex Peretti a domestic terrorist? Is that specifically why they're getting switched out?
I think so. I mean, from what we understand, and listen, I'm not a Tom Homan guy. I don't believe in child separation. Tom Homan is a big child separator advocate. However, it is believed that Tom Homan's most of his energy is at the border. He wants to stop the migration at the border. So he's less, from what we understand, less forceful when it comes to the citizens in the streets. In other words, there's a change in tactic between Tom Homan and Kristi Noem. In other words, it's being said that Tom Homan is more respectful of American citizens' rights, and he has a different, lighter approach to what's going on the ground. I do feel that the switch out right now when it comes to Bovino is because the administration kind of got ahead of themselves. Listen, when you have this whole marketing campaign and the slogan in your mind that what you're doing is right, you're going to speak before you think. Kristi Noem and Steve Miller spoke before they think. Calling this guy a domestic terrorist was way out of bounds, right? And a lot of people, they just enraged them even more. And you saw the White House when it came to Caroline Leavitt trying to walk away from that statement. So I do believe this switch up is something that's a little bit more about abiding by our laws. It's a little bit of easier approach. However, it's not going to change this administration's mindset and their ideology when it comes to immigration. They believe what they are doing is right. They believe, in my mind, people like Caroline Leavitt, Renee Good, that's collateral damage to getting rid of what they consider the most evil people. But meanwhile, we see what they're doing. They're grabbing anybody and everybody off the streets. They're abducting 5-year-olds and holding them hostage and telling the people to come out. I mean, this is not something, they're not getting rid of the worst of the worst. This rhetoric is still going on. The right-wing media in general is still going along with this, thinking that this is okay, thinking that the majority of people want this. But even independents right now are saying, we don't want ICE out there anymore. They're not making us more safe. They're terrorizing our community. It's time to get rid of them.
Yeah, and it seems like another one of the talking points on the right to try and keep that base on board and keep them like, hey, this is what we signed up for. We're making progress. I think one of those talking points is, hey, let them do their job. Stop going out there and interfering. And I think that's the label that they've been kind of successful at doing when they say, hey, this guy, we saw what Megyn Kelly said earlier. I mean, it's unbelievable saying, hey, I don't have any empathy for this guy at all because he shouldn't have he shouldn't have been out there. He shouldn't have brought a gun. I mean, all these different ways to keep people in line, keep people at home. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of COVID days, but except left and right is switched. This idea of stay home, stay 6 feet apart, do what they tell you, don't ask questions. Now the right has taken that stance here, and it seems like we're kind of in the twilight zone. Have you noticed that same thing? Like the idea that both parties kind of switched on this subject about listen to instructions, don't ask questions.
Yeah, anti-Second Amendment all of a second, right? Now, this guy shouldn't have had he was legally carrying a firearm. He was allowed to have his firearm there. Whatever that dumb idiot Kash Patel tries to say, I mean, this guy's the worst of the worst. I've been saying this before this guy got even put into office. He's always been out there in left field. I would ask these same people who say that guy shouldn't have brought a gun there. She shouldn't have been agitating. What about Kyle Rittenhouse? Because all these people were supporting Kyle Rittenhouse for doing what he did. And Kyle Rittenhouse was online bagging on Black Lives Matter protests before he even showed up. It's at the very minimal, I believe he should have gotten manslaughter, but they're okay with him, making him the hero. And meanwhile, this guy who was a veteran, a nurse, who was protecting a woman who was being attacked, just a natural reaction, and they already disarmed him. We all saw the video. He was disarmed, and then they shot him. But yeah, I mean, they can continue to go along. All the Megyn Kellys, they're just showing the hypocrisy at its highest level right now. You know, these people are out here because they're passionate about what's going on, and they don't want this immigration stance where people just say, well, we got to get rid of these people. They don't belong here. They're, you know what I'm saying? No, a lot of us don't feel that way. A lot of us feel that this country was built on migration, right? My parents, my family came over here. They were called WAPs, without papers, Italians, but they were let in and they helped build this beautiful country. Why are we denying the same immigrant, the immigrant today, that same story? So we don't go along with their mindset, their ideology. We want to protect these people. We love these people. They're part of our community, just like they are in LA. That's where I've got really my love for the immigrant community, Matt, where we lived out there and stuff like that. These people are great, and they commit far less crime than American citizens. They're booked at a far less rate. So this idea that they're the most evil people that we get rid of, it's just a lie. It's once again also shining a spotlight on the xenophobic behavior of the conservatives and the right wing in this state. They need to change that. It's damn near close to racist. We love these people. And if you don't want them coming here to our country, we should get out of their country. Why don't you concentrate on that? This is all, you know, bait and switch over here. It's to keep your eye off the prize with everything going on. So yeah, they're not falling for it out here. And by the way, I grabbed some of the stuff they have out here, Matt. These are some of the whistles. You can see it says abolish ICE. Anytime there's an ICE agent around, you know, they blow the whistles and whatnot, and there's a bunch of whistles blowing around. They're beating on drums. Anytime an ICE agent is seen, they're letting people know. And let me tell you something, this community, and I've talked to, like I said, all these different people. I just talked to somebody who ran a nonprofit. She was a 60-year-old woman, and she was so passionate. And the thing that she said got her out in the street was seeing ICE pull that lady from her car, cut the seatbelt, and pull. That was the thing that got her out in the street. And it's different things that are getting people out here, but it all goes down to that same avenue. They don't want, I'm not going to speak for me. They don't want these Gestapo tactics in the streets of the United States, and they're prepared to get out there and fight for that. They're not being paid. They're out there because they're passionate protesters about this cause.
And then the larger conversation, I mean, what you're talking about, it's hard to change people's minds if they are dead set on, we got to get these, you know, non-citizens out of this country. Okay, great. Let's go with that. Does it cross your mind? Do you even consider that this is not the way you'd even go about doing that? Can we have the larger conversation about digital IDs, about the surveillance state, about the supercomputer we're all getting in? We saw that video of the woman in Maine saying, I'm just filming you. I'm not doing anything wrong. Just filming you. Like, oh, we got you in the system now. And he was mocking her, saying, we got you in the system. You're now officially a domestic terrorist for filming me. So do people seeing that? Is that a conversation you're having on the ground, regardless of people's stance on immigration, which obviously we agree with you 100% on, Craig, but isn't that so obvious now, regardless of your ideology? Can't people see that this is not actually how you would go about removing non-citizens? This is the exact opposite of what you would do. Is that something people are waking up to around you?
Well, you know, I haven't had that conversation yet. You know what I'm saying? I do tell people to go online. When they ask, who are you? I say I'm an independent journalist. You can go to @YoPasta and look at my Twitter and see where I stand on immigration, where I stand on ICE. You know what I'm saying? But trying to not be biased in a situation when you're being a journalist is important. But I haven't gotten to that part yet. Right now, I'm kind of just getting the right now emotional feelings about where they are and why they're out there and stuff. Right. I think down the road we will get to conversations, but that's a very interesting point now, because you know, it's so hypocritical. How many times were we telling people on the right, you know, what are you doing right now? We were saying the same thing when Biden was labeling you as domestic terrorism. That's not good, because once the other side gets in power, they're going to use it against you. And that's what they're doing right now. So the hypocrisy and seeing all these conservatives being okay with this, because this is what it's about, right? Putting us on the grid. And they're using ICE as an excuse to geofence, geomap, data mine, all that stuff. using Palantir, Donald Trump's best buddy and Peter Thiel, to get us all on the grid right now. And that's what they're doing. And just because they feel, you got that Laura Loomer mentality, screw it, let's use Palantir and stuff to get rid of all the illegal immigrants. Yeah. They're not going after the illegal immigrants. They're going after you. They're using the immigrant as an excuse to do it. But we haven't got to that part of the conversation yet, Matt. When I do find somebody I can get a little deep with, I will. But that is a very interesting point, because that's what it's really all about. And the conservatives are just falling for it because they're so xenophobic. They honestly believe that these people here are bad. And the majority of these people here, you're in California, they're awesome workers. They're great in our community. They do so much. They don't cause problems. So there's all types of craziness going on with the situation. And we're just trying to shine a light on it as best we can.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate all your work you're doing out there, Craig. Let's stay in touch, please, because, the events seem to be going 10 times, 100 times miles an hour than we're used to. So I really appreciate boots on the ground. As you say, get to the, get yourself there if you can. And you certainly did. So please, let's keep the conversation going. Anything else you want to leave us with before you get back out there?
No, I'll continue to be on the ground. I have a hard time getting into my pocket to get my phone. That's how cold it is. It's below degrees weathers here, but I'm going to do my best to get some footage, some exclusive footage for the Homeless Left, for the Truth Wire, for our network. But, my work's going to be out there as much as we can. And I can't thank you enough for having me on. This is very important right now because all the attention seems to be down right here in Minnesota right now. And Donald Trump still wants to point out Ilhan Omar and the Somali fraud. Meanwhile, he's pardoning guys that have committed fraud against their workers, citizens, and whatnot. And it's just so hypocritical. But this seems to be a distraction from everything that's going on. So I keep on looking up and saying, did we bomb Iran yet? Did we bomb Gaza to the Stone Age completely yet? I mean, there's so many other things that they're going to use. They're going to use this as cover because there's so much attention and emotion down here. But this is where the American people's mindset are at. We're going to be there to follow them. And we're going to bring you the reports as best we can and the news as best we can.
Craig Pasta Jardula, everyone. Pasta on Ice. I just came up with a new, there you go. That's the segment, Pasta on Ice, because you're holding them accountable out in the streets, boots on the ground. Appreciate your work, buddy. We'll stay in touch.
It's freezing here, Ma. Send coffee. Send hot cocoa. I need it. I love you.
Okay, we're back. We're back, guys. It's time to hold on, make sure. Got a little bump there. Okay. That was Craig Pasta Jardula on the ground in Minneapolis, and this was a funny one sent to me. This is Pasta. You guys know the show Pasta to Go. That's what happens to Pasta to Go in Minneapolis. It literally freezes with the fork in the air. So that's our Pasta to Go symbol for however long Craig's there. We don't know how long he's going to be there, but he'll certainly be as close to the action as possible to give us the best assessment possible, because we know we've been talking all day about the tribal game. We've been talking about what they do as far as keeping us in our tribe. Even if you find yourselves on the side of the people, you got to understand that sometimes the tribe you check in with, they're keeping you where you are as they blame everything on the other side and not on the people that are puppeteering everything, which is what's really happening. So yeah, there's one thing I didn't cover in the last one. I just want to put this tweet up here. And this is just something to think about, guys. If you are in a situation like Craig Pasta and you're out there, you're in a main city, we know stuff's going down here in LA too. We might be having to cover some local happenings here in the coming days, in the coming weeks. But here's an idea, and this is just something we saw online, and it's just something to think about. Donna L. Byers says, I'm at the point now that even though it might jeopardize you, if ICE grabs you or tries to arrest you, do everything you can to pull their mask down so we can see their faces. Guaranteed someone is filming, and we'll get a photo of their face so they can be identified. That's not a bad idea. Now, obviously, I wouldn't recommend just go up to a random ICE person and grab for their face. I think it's a matter of if they grab you, that's a great move. If they, for whatever reason, if they grab you, go for the mask. Maybe it's not a good idea to be the one filming. If you're in, because someone else will be filming. the action. You don't need to take one of your hands up with a phone. If you have to drop your phone, drop your phone. But if you get grabbed, grab back. Pull off that mask, whatever it takes. It's a great idea. I actually like that one a lot, and I want to let people know to keep that in mind if you do find yourself in some weird, horrible altercation. We know what these guys are capable of. We know that they are looking for vengeance. They're looking for conflict. They're looking to escalate, not de-escalate. I know this type of person. I've worked with them in the nightclub security scene here in LA. I know what the mindset. A lot of them are vets. They come back from their whatever post-traumatic stress syndrome, whatever they learned on the battlefield, the IDF crap they learned, as they were murdering Iraqis or murdering Afghanistan or murdering whoever they were murdering. They bring that back here, and now these are the people with masks on, and they don't identify themselves. So yeah, let's figure out if that's something that could benefit the people right now, exposing who these people are. How many identities have been identified so far in that murder of Alex Pretty? How many have been? We haven't seen any body cam footage. We haven't seen anybody from those masks identified. The only reason we have the guy that killed Renee Good is because he had his own mask off. And that was helpful. That was helpful. If he didn't, how would we know? How would we know that that guy was a deranged IDF trained Iraq veteran? We wouldn't have known that. We wouldn't have known that. So get their masks off. If you get touched by these people, that's the way to go. Just want to throw up a couple of the super chats. We had Citizen. Yeah, thanks for the super chat, my friend. Screw Twitter. Let's move to UpScrolled, everybody. Hey, look, I just had to get the word in so you guys understood that the CEO of UpScrolled actually comes from Oracle. Just so you know that. He's Palestinian. That's awesome. He talks about the problems with shadow banning. Awesome. So start your UpScrolled. Fine. But understand that he comes from the same tech that elevated Larry Ellison through Oracle, through Microsoft, through these companies that participated in murdering Palestinians. So that happened. So let's be okay with that. So I would say start your UpScrolled, Citizen, but don't cancel Twitter. Not just yet. Twitter's still working for us, hopefully. I mean, at some point, who knows? But right now, don't cancel Twitter just yet. That's my advice. But yeah, go ahead, start an UpScroll. Let us know how it goes. Let us know how it goes. We might have to start one too. Okay. All right, we are moving on. I think it's time to do some. Oh wait, you know what? We did have one more. I just want to give a shout out. I don't know because Leslie helped put this one up because sometimes we don't get the Rumble rants from Rumble on our StreamYard, but we do want to give a shout out to Bonzo Beans, who's been an excellent mod for us on the channel. Bonzo Beans, I like pasta alla bada. That was from the last show. I wanted to replay that one. That was from the last show. But thank you, Bonzo Beans. I know you've been on the show today with us. Thank you so much. And let's move on to the next segment now. We haven't done this in a while, so I just want to do a quick one on this. This is what we like to call World War III Watch. Here we go. Actually, let me change the banner first. And then we'll do the theme song. You guys know we like the little jingles, right? We love the jingles. Okay, here's your little World War III Watch jingle. Here we go. It's World War III Watch. Let's just face it, it's already started. How close are we to nuclear annihilation? How close are we to Israel pulling out the Samson option? That's right, the Samson option. What is that? That's when Israel feels that everybody has stabbed them in the back and they're saying, F it, we'll just all go up in one cloud of nuclear smoke. That's when they bomb their friends. It's actually in their doctrine. It's called the Samson option. And that's why we're kind of forced into this relationship. Blink twice if you can hear us, USA, but it seems that USA is forced into this relationship with Israel, which is why we keep pushing for war with Iran. There's no other reason to be at war with Iran. They pose no threat to us at all. You could say they pose a threat to Israel if you wanted to. We could argue that as well. We could argue against that. I mean, we could argue that they're not even a threat to Israel, that maybe they're just minding their own business and they're dealing with their own bullshit, which every country should be dealing with their own bullshit. And you shouldn't be coming in to try and solve problems of other countries. We certainly wouldn't like it if somebody did that to us. Other than the fact that Israel likes to control everything we do politically and message-wise and foreign policy-wise and money-wise. So that's, aside from Israel, we would hate for another country to come in and start dicking us around and telling us how to run a quote-unquote democracy. With that said, let's remember Trump's rhetoric on Iran. This is from last week. This is before the ICE raids got really bad, and this is pre Alex Preddy's death. But this is when he's saying, let's focus on Iran and let's make Iran great again.
And by the way, to all Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions if possible, and save the name of the killers and the abusers that are abusing you. You're being very badly abused.
Isn't it ironic? I mean, can this be stressed enough? Can this be stressed enough? Keep going. Come on, guys, you can do it. Confront your institutions. Take them on. We got your back. But if you're here in the U.S., don't you dare confront your institutions. You stay the F home or you're a domestic terrorist and you're going to get murdered. It's the irony and the timing of this is absolutely insane to me. And if you support this garbage in Iran, you can do it, Iranians. You can do it. But no, if you're in the U.S., stay the F at home. Stop interrupting your government institutions if you're in the U.S. But yeah, go on, Trump. Remember, this is what you ran on, right? Make Iran great again. Was that what it was? I don't know. I have a short-term memory. I can't remember any of this.
If the numbers are right, now I hear 5 different sets of numbers. I hear numbers. Look, 1 death is too much. But I hear much lower numbers, and then I hear much higher numbers. But I say save their names because they'll pay a very big price. And I've canceled all meetings with the Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops.
The senseless killings of protesters stops. Are you talking about Iran or are you talking about the U.S.? Because it's hard for us to keep track of protesters being murdered. Hard to keep track. But go on.
And all I say to them is help is on its way. You saw that I put tariffs on anybody doing business with Iran. Just went into effect today. And I say make Iran great again. You know, it was a great country until these monsters came in and took it over. And it's all very fragile. What would have happened to us? I'm telling you. If I didn't win this election, what would have happened to us?
Wow. Okay. Help is on the way. That's an old line from those you scholars out there. That's an old John Kerry, John Edwards line from 2004. That was their little Batman and Robin. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Help is on the way. This is when they pretended to go against the Bush and Cheney regime only to just waste all of our time. And Bush and Cheney got a second crack at it. More murdering of people in Iraq and so on and so on and so on. Drone program, Obama, blah, 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 blah. We killed some folks. Let's keep killing folks, shall we? And what do you mean, Trump, by help is on the way anyways? Do you mean Mike Pompeo at New Year's? Do you guys remember this one? Look at the bottom of that. Happy New Year's to every Iranian in the streets, also to every Mossad agent walking beside them. Is that what you mean by help? Maybe that's the help you mean. The help is creating the chaos. Oh, you got to have a problem to then solve it, right? If you don't have the problem, you can't solve the problem. You can't be the help coming on the way on behalf of Israel. You can't do that. So you create the problem. Well, here's something we got word of just in the last few days. It shows you guys the early operation because we know it was a Mossad operation. 100%, create the chaos in the streets of Iran, manufacture the consent of Western audiences, and cheer on the destruction, the regime change. Yet add it to the list of every other one we've done. And it doesn't matter if it's Trump, Obama, Bush, Cheney, Clinton. It doesn't even matter. Effing matter. Biden. It's all the same. Here's the early psyop that they put together. The Mossad did. We got this from David Miller. Mossad terror cells and their accomplices, the way they caused the chaos and the casualties that Trump is talking about that happened on the 8th and the 9th earlier this month, they did that by throwing rocks, bricks, and concrete blocks from bridges at motorists passing below. These were Mossad agents. That's what they did. It was not a protest. It was a violent shock and awe operation designed to cause as many deaths as possible. And that's what Trump was referring to. All you protesters out there, keep fighting. Keep fighting the Mossad agents that Netanyahu and us, that we funded, we put in the streets to attack you. So keep going at it. Keep driving through those bridges, and hopefully a Mossad agent will hit your car with a brick. A concrete block might go through your windshield and knock you in the skull, and then we will be coming to help you after the fact, after we create the problem. So it was, again, it was not a protest. It was a violent shock and awe operation designed to cause as many deaths as possible in a chaotic and unpredictable way, irrespective of the politics of the victim. And that's what happens when you're on a bridge. It's actually not about anything other than creating the numbers, creating the casualties. Doesn't matter if you're pro your government or anti your government. You're going to get a brick thrown at you. You want to see a video? Here's a video. This was the early stages of the op that a lot of people fell for, and not just on the right. A lot of people here fell for this on the left too, just like they fell for Maduro has to go. I don't like Trump, but Maduro has to go. I don't like Trump, but Iran needs to stop doing what they're doing. And all you Palestinian protesters, you better be on the side of the people in Iran. Where are you? Why aren't you out in the street? Well, if you thought that the reason people were out in the street was just because we don't want Palestinians killed, you missed the whole point about the fact that it was a protest against U.S. funding that genocide. So, if anything, we should be in the street against U.S. funding the Mossad and the protests, which are basically the entire thing was an operation to create the chaos to get Trump to be able to say we're coming to save the day. Here is the video.
On
the highway at a quarter. Okay, highway's closed. So, man, you can't go. Why? Don't go. So this guy's warning people. He says they're shouting. Who's throwing? Go, man. See up there and see. So this guy on the motorcycle, he's filming this. He's actually trying to save lives right now. He's saying, don't go there. They're throwing concrete bricks at people. There he is. Guys, who's blocking the way there? They're not letting us pass. I was just trying to go home. They threw a bunch of rocks at us and iron rods. So if you go there, they'll just shower you with rocks. A few innocent cars were coming, and I thought to stop them. Wait. Turn back. So this is great. This guy's trying to save people. It's blocked. They're throwing rocks. Don't go, man. You'll get yourself killed. So look at this. These are just family. These are just families and friends, and they're going to work or going home or going out, whatever they're doing, running an errand or whatever they're doing, just trying to live their lives. And we're doing this to them. We're doing this to them. Turn back. Wait. They're throwing rocks. Man. We are the terrorists. Have you guys figured it out yet? We're the terrorists. Don't go. All man. What do you mean? They're really hitting. They're throwing rocks. Don't go. So far, a bunch of cars came and they threw rocks at them. So this guy's awesome. Don't go. Stop. Don't go. So he's stopping everyone as they're going. Where are you going? It's dangerous. They've completely blocked the entrance, bro. What are they throwing over there? The iron rods. They've taken out like 10 cars. Oh my God. They threw it on the car. Yes. And who's they? They are the Mossad agents. That's who's doing this. It's tire blue. Oh my God. So this guy, yeah, they shouldn't be doing this. Bro, they even threw rocks at us. Bro, I swear, I gotta go to the produce market. It's my work. It's my business. Man, I don't know. Don't go. Make a U-turn. We're shopkeepers too. So that was the setup. That was the setup. And now, where are we now? What is going on now? Now that the operation was put together, what happens now? Well, here's what Trump. Here's where Trump's at now, because he's putting the chess pieces together. It's hard to say if they need to do any more of this. I hope there's no more of these false flag, manufactured events, that we can just move on from this point. But unfortunately, the next step is on the chessboard is positioning our vessels right around that area. That's the next step. The same that we did in Venezuela, where we positioned around the Caribbean, and we started taking out tankers and calling them drug cartel. We had to kill these people, judge, jury, executioner, and then we went in and we grabbed Maduro. So this is the same playbook. So here's Trump. So President Trump calls to make Iran great again, signals push for regime change, and here's Donald Trump saying it's not politically correct to use the term regime change. Oh, you don't like how it sounds. You don't like how it sounds. It goes against the Donald Trump of 2015, who was against regime change. So don't say it. We're going to do it, but don't say it. The current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again. Why wouldn't there be a regime change? So you completely switched your entire position on regime change. Got it. And here's a headline on Iran. It's total maritime isolation next for Iran. Is it following the Venezuela model, like we said? As the USS Abraham Lincoln and the U.S. Armada arrive in the Persian Gulf, reports of an immediate naval blockade on oil exports are intensifying. Will Trump issue the final order today or tomorrow? And that's the shot. There we go. We're positioning, and that's where we're positioning in the orange area. That's where we're positioning. It's exactly like Venezuela. Put all the pieces. It's battleship. You just line up the ships, line up the pieces, line up your king and line up your queen and your rook and your bishop. That's what we're doing. So the most important thing right now is how is Iran responding to this? That's the key. If you guys want to look at that, because you're not going to get that accurately, and you're certainly not going to get that accurately with mainstream media. But TRT World reported this a few days ago, and I think this is really important. If you guys missed this with all the chaos going on here, you might have missed this. But Iran clearly is saying they will treat any U.S. attack as all-out war against us. That's from a senior official. Tehran will not differentiate between scale or nature of any potential attack, says an official, as U.S. warships, including aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, several destroyers, and fighter aircraft head to the Middle East. Iran said it will treat anything we do as an attack, an all-out war against us. And they're not just talking against like an attack by U.S., they're saying an attack by Israel, because they know it's Israel. It's not, we wouldn't be doing this on our own. It doesn't really make sense. So speaking on condition, speaking on Friday, the official said that Iran's military had been placed on high alert amid the arrival of the airstrike group and other forces that are now placed in that region. This military buildup, we hope it is not intended for real confrontation, but our military is ready for the worst case scenario, the official said. This is why everything is on high alert in Iran. The official warned that Tehran would not differentiate between whatever scale of the potential attack. This time we treat any attack, limited, unlimited, surgical, kinetic, whatever they call it, as our all-out war against us. He added that Iran would respond decisively if attacked, and we will respond in the hardest way possible to settle this. And there it is. And that's where we are now. Again, the irony is help is on the way, is going to Iran to help protesters who are getting attacked by the Mossad. Meanwhile, we have protesters being murdered and attacked by ICE agents who are trained by the Mossad. So in both countries, we do have one thing in common. The people are being played, and the people in power are playing the people on each other. And again, at the end of the day, we need to be looking out for our country and fighting the battles we need to fight here. And Iran needs to fight their battles where they are and call tyranny what it is and recognize that the terrorist isn't over there. The terrorist is right here. We're the terrorists. So we need to protect our own soil, not just, what is the line? Not just from domestic threats, not just from foreign threats, but from domestic threats as well. And that's been a World War III watch. And let's just face it, it's already started. All right, let's go on to I think it's time for the Kaiser story. This one, let me make sure it's set up here. Okay. Okay, guys. If you've been watching our show, which I know a lot of you have, you guys have heard the discussions we've been having with Leslie. We've been having discussions about the healthcare arena here, the workers here, the nurses, the healthcare workers have been in a constant battle with the CEOs here, particularly Kaiser. This has been an ongoing situation. We've had a previous strike that was a 5-day strike at the end of last year, which was designed to kind of show, and this is what you do, what workers do, what unions are supposed to do is organize together, get all the workers together and state their message, state what their demands are. This is what organizing is about. You state your demands and you demonstrate to those shareholders and CEOs, you demonstrate what it looks like if you don't get your demands, which means you walk off, you strike. So there was I guess you could call it a pre-strike that happened last year because they called it a 5-day strike. It was to show the CEOs at Kaiser what it's going to look like if we leave. Now, the story is very important, what gets spun at that point, because what happens is, and we covered this at the time, what happens is that Kaiser goes ahead and says, go ahead, walk out for 5 days. We'll just we'll just bring in some outside help. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to pay them 3 times the amount. So we're going to pay them. It's going to cost us so much more money not to have you here, but we're going to do it anyways. How can we afford that? Well, because we have an unlimited amount of money. We are all billionaires. So before I tell you what happened, we'll fast forward to now, a new strike is started. This started yesterday, beginning of this week. This is not a 5-day strike. This is not a 10-day strike. This one is indefinite. What are the demands of the workers? They are demanding better working conditions. They're demanding that their patients have better conditions. There's pay involved. There's also how you're treated with benefits, but you're also how you're treated with breaks, with access to resources, with communication problems, with the way the environment has been structured. There is a lot of demands on the table, and it's not just money. Now, what the CEOs do very well is they like to present publicly that the workers, well, they just like money, and that's what this is about. It's not about anything else. It's about their paycheck, and they're ready to present that. They're ready to present that. So we're going to show you guys the way the local news has covered this, the beginning of the strike, which was Monday, very dishonestly. But before I play that clip, take a look at this chart because I want you to keep this in mind. This is a very important chart because this will show you who you're listening to when people are giving their side of the story. This is a chart of CEOs versus Kaiser workers. The top chart is CEOs versus optometrists. This is from 2020 to 2023. They're all from 2020 to 2023 during the COVID years, right? And who was getting paid what? The CEOs versus the nurses is in the middle, and the COO versus the rehab therapists are at the bottom. And notice what they all three have in common. You see those big red bulges, those are CEO pay. You see those little slivers of blue next to them? Those are the pay of the workers. Now, you can look at those numbers and say, oh, they make pretty good money. What are they complaining about? Well, that's not the point. The point is the working conditions in which the nurses, the optometrists, rehab therapists, the conditions in which they are working in that are not just hurting them and their ability to do their job well, but it's also hurting the patients. So when workers strike, they're not anti-patient, they're pro-patient. It's the CEOs that are anti-patient. They're the ones that keep raising the cost of the drugs for the patients. That's another issue, the drug prices. So they keep raising drug prices. They keep baiting and switching customers, people that have been paying their dues as patients, as customers of Kaiser. They bait and switch their plans. It happens all the time. They pay into it. They pay into it. They pay into it. And what happens? What do we know about insurance companies, guys? What do we know about insurance companies? What insurance companies do, they bait and switch you. Whether it's fire insurance, when there's a fire about to start, we saw that here with State Farm here in LA. When else do they do that? They do that when people get medical emergencies and they need the care that they've been paying into all their life. All of a sudden, they don't have coverage anymore. And that's why the Luigi Mangione thing happened. And that's why the CEOs are the problem. Period. Okay. So how does this strike work? Well, let's see. The local news here reported on it. We'll break it down. We'll see what they're telling the public, because this is a ploy to show the viewer that the nurses and the optometrists and the other healthcare workers, they're just a little too greedy and they're anti-patient. Watch the coverage here. Here we go.
Morning, tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente nurses and healthcare workers are set to strike at hundreds of clinics across California and Hawaii.
The unions representing employees say they're striking over unfair labor practices. ABC 10's Austin Castro is at the Kaiser Permanente Roseville Medical Center, one of the picketing locations this morning. He joins us now live as the strike gets underway in a little bit. Austin, what do we know about the bargaining talks that ultimately led to this strike?
Good morning, Carolina and Jay. Both Kaiser and the union representing these healthcare workers say they have been bargaining for months, trying to reach an agreement on a new set of contracts. Now, as of just yesterday, Kaiser says the union informed them that they are ready to resume those local bargaining talks. But despite those talks continuing to get underway, tens of thousands of healthcare workers are set to strike later this morning. Now, the Roseville Kaiser location isn't the only one set to see strikes here. Other locations across California and Hawaii are also going to have healthcare workers striking. Now, I spoke with.
So this is technically, you call it nationwide. It seems to be just in the region right now, California, straight through the state of California and Hawaii. It's unclear if more states are going to get involved with this. There's a lot of different healthcare unions, so you can't just grab them all up and do it all at once. It can be a little complicated, a little tricky. There's again different unions, different communications that have to happen. But this is the largest one we've seen, and some are predicting this strike might be the largest one because it's indefinite. There's no timestamp on this one. It's not like, oh, we're going to do another 5 days or we're going to go 10 days. This is indefinite. So this thing could grow, and the CEOs are not backing up. But let's just so he set up the story. Let's see how they're going to frame the CEOs and their response to the healthcare workers not being at work. And they're going to have a problem. Believe me, the CEOs are going to have a problem here.
Union representatives ahead of the strike who argue this is about patient care and protecting the future of healthcare. Gina Yarbrough with the United Nurses Association of California / Union of Healthcare Professionals points to their calls for safe staffing levels and a sustainable workforce. She said that's ultimately at the heart of these negotiations in order for them to continue to deliver quality healthcare.
So they're thinking about the working conditions. Well, good for the news here, the local news, to tell us that that's what the union workers are saying. Are they going to list those out on the screen? Probably not. Wait till you see what screen they do cut to, though.
We can't do that without the proper resources, and we can't do that without the proper staffing. And the patients that are most affected are crying on our shoulders and upset with us. We're the front line. We take the complaints, we take the frustration that they have. And the upper administrators and the bean counters are very far removed from the patients we face every day.
Okay. So this is where the spin comes. So you had a shot of her saying, look, we're getting blamed for conditions that we can't control. Okay. So what did the CEO say back? Well, this is the part of the story where they smear the union and they make it about nurses being greedy. Check it out.
Now, Kaiser released an updated statement just yesterday regarding the strike. It reads in part, quote, despite the union's claims this strike is about wages, this open-ended strike by UNAC UHCP is unnecessary when such a generous offer is on the table. The strike is designed to disrupt the lives of our patients, the very people we are all here to serve, end quote. Now, Kaiser maintained they've offered one of their strongest compensation packages in national bargaining history. They say that package includes a nearly 22% wage increase over the 4-year course of the contract, with 16% of that being within the first 2 years. Now, during the strike, Kaiser also says their hospitals and most of their healthcare facilities will remain open. However, they also point to some appointments having to shift to virtual care or even having to be rescheduled altogether. Again, that strike is set to get underway here in less than an hour at 7 a.m. And of course, we will continue to follow that strike all morning long. Live in Roseville, Austin Castro, ABC 10.
Thank you, Austin.
So unfortunately, we're getting word that the initial strike isn't as large of a turnout as they've hoped. And I suspect it's because the workers know they're in it for the long run. This is not just a 5-day stint. The last time a lot of them showed up because they knew it was only going to be 5 days. So aesthetically, a 5-day strike can look good. It can present well. You really get a big group of people saying, here we are. We're shouting at the top of our lungs. Unfortunately, that's not really effective having a 5-day strike because that means the CEOs and the shareholders know when they can expect you back. This time they don't. This is going to be a long game. This is going to go for a long time, so this is more of a marathon, and you have to kind of you have to be prepared to kind of space out your energy, and that's why you don't have as many people showing up. And we're only on day 2 right now. We're only on day 2. So this is a game, and this is what strikes look like. This is a game between the shareholders who have all the money. Let's go back to this clip. The shareholders have all the money. They have unlimited funds. As you can see, this is just their salary. But the Kaiser, the billions of dollars they have available to make sure patients get good care is there. Their job is to spin the story now for the next however many weeks this goes. Spin the story that the workers are selfish and they're anti-patient, and the patients are going to suffer, and they're going to have to raise prices for patients now. So their big ass red chart can stay really red, and those little tiny blue slivers can stay where they are. That's their job. And so if you're watching this on whatever local news or on mainstream, what you're not going to see is a full breakdown of those poor working conditions. They gave you a clip of one of the healthcare workers saying these are poor working conditions. You're not seeing the details of that. They're not showing you that. What they will do is they will maybe bring that same woman. What they're going to do is they're going to bring representatives on some of these bigger shows. So watch out for that. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to confront them, and they're going to say, because we see the playbook. So guys, watch out for this. This is the playbook. They'll bring on the union rep on like MSNBC, CNN. Like, hey, we wanted to talk to the union rep. What's going on? You guys have been out. You've been holding out. How do you feel? How do you feel about the fact that when you're out here striking, you're hurting the patients? Do you feel bad about that? Do you feel guilty? That's what they're going to do. They're never going to ask that question to the CEOs. You're never going to see a CEO going on one of these news networks and being asked, do you feel guilty that because you're unwilling to change the working conditions, that you're the one hurting the patients right now? The workers not hurting the patients. The workers are standing up for the patients. So that's the spin that's coming. That's the kind of rhetoric you hear. The emails they're getting, the bullying they're all getting. And believe me, that's also how these strikes work. the bullying that comes through texting and emailing from top down, telling you, you guys, you're hurting, you're only hurting yourselves doing this. You have the right to do it, but you're only hurting yourself. And at some point, you guys are going to need a paycheck. By the way, you're not getting a paycheck. You get nothing. So those little sliver blue salaries, those are slivers now. They're going to be nothing. So good luck while we have our yachts and our all of our billions of investments. You guys can only go so long. So this is a battle. This is a marathon battle. Don't fall for the spin. We're going to be covering this as it goes further. Again, we just started the strike. I wanted to give you guys kind of an opening to this. We'll be talking to Leslie about this a little more, and hopefully bring on some of the union reps as well and have a discussion, because this is only going to get bigger. It's going to get harder. It's a battle. Some are saying this could be the biggest strike of this calendar year. And it's already started here in January. There's no telling how long it's going to take, but always be on the side of the worker. The worker is standing up, not because they're greedy. They're standing up because the conditions for those patients, that's what the most important thing is. And these CEOs and shareholders need to be showed that, need to be taught that lesson. And again, the media is not going to do a good job at calling out these shareholders. So that's why we're here doing this story. And that's where we are right now. We'll keep an eye on this. That's where we are. Okay, moving on. Let's get to you guys. I'm ready to do some talking back. Yeah, we're gonna do some talking back. I got some people. You guys have been really engaging on these last few stories. Let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. We're gonna do a 2-minute bathroom break. Grab a drink. We'll be right back. Talking back with you guys. You can put your if you have any super chats you want to do, you cut to the front of the line on YouTube. Rumble rants on Rumble, you'll cut to the front of the line as well. But we will try to get to as many of you guys as possible. Talking back coming right up. This is where you find us on Twitter. This is where you find us on YouTube, and this is where you find us on Rumble. Okay, guys, we'll be right back with some talking back. See you in about 2 minutes and a change. Here we go. Oh, and then we'll have two more big stories for you after that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Homeless Lab. It's Talking Back with Matt, taking your guys' questions, comments, responding to you live here on the show on this Tuesday. We're calling this show U.S. Constitution, R.I.P. We had Craig Pasta Jardula on the ground in Minneapolis, Minnesota, covering what's really going on in the streets against the ICE terrorists that have been killing U.S. citizens. We have Trump still going after Iran. The Greater Israel Project still happening. And the media is doing their best to keep everybody in their camps, in their tribes, at each other's throats. We're here to have the larger conversation with you guys about what we have more in common. And when we call out the hypocrisy on one side, when one side calls out the hypocrisy on the other side, guess what? You were also a hypocrite. It's not just half the story. That's what we're noticing. It's not enough just to say you guys were reversed on an issue. Guess what? You were too. The other side was also reversed. So let's look at that and see how that happened. How do both sides seem to compromise what they believe in order to fulfill the duties of their tribe? And that seems to be the running theme today in all the stories. If it's not even that, the TikTok capture by Israel has also happened. We went into that story. And I know you guys have some comments on that. Also, the Kaiser strike has begun. It's a national strike. And we started talking about that as well. So lots to get to here. Let's get to you guys. And we do want to say, a big shout out to Do Dissidents. The Dissidents did come over on a Rumble raid, which is always awesome. We love having you guys with us. If you're still sticking around, we do appreciate it. And we do have 2 more stories after this one. So stick around a little more. And love to have you here. Please also hit, and we like this too, that you guys understand to do the like and the subscribe so you can get notified when we go live. That's also very important. So we really appreciate that. Okay, let's see what kind of engagement we get from you guys. We had Megyn Kelly was one of the people that all of a sudden flopped and said, you know what, guys, you're best to stay inside. You're best to listen to orders. If you leave your house, well, you deserve to die. Basically was her take on Alex Preddy. Megyn Kelly, this is from Chris Green. Megyn Kelly is to journalism what McDonald's is to nutrition, as the bimbo wants Americans to not practice their constitutional rights. MAGA bitch. Well, yeah, that's the sentiment here. The fact that she can look into the camera and say, I don't give an F about Alex Preddy. I don't care that he's dead, is probably the most soulless, heartless thing you could say. Is she trying to get revenge on people who wanted all the J6ers to die? Because that happened. That did happen. But what is this eye for an eye thing? Or I don't understand the limitations of a brain who has seen the other side of what this looks like when people are called domestic terrorists, when it's the other side, and how that's not right. How dare you do the same thing right back? To me, it doesn't make sense. It does make us angry, and I do appreciate the comment. And we did notice that she's either compromised, dumb, or both, and she's not the only one. She's not the only one. Yeah, and so we had and then also the Treasury Secretary, that was Scott Benson. This is from Lunatic for Biscus. Thanks for tuning in. The smug self-righteousness coming out of this effing Treasury Secretary is insufferable. What a piece of human excrement. Very well said. And again, the Scott Benson, we told you guys earlier, he's the guy that's implementing all the sanctions on a third of the planet. He's the guy doing it. So of course he's going to spin this gun issue. All of a sudden, Second Amendment goes out the window. All of a sudden, we don't take guns with us. When's the last time you brought a gun somewhere? Gun nut? I'm a gun nut. I keep my gun locked in my house. All of a sudden, you don't bring guns out. All of a sudden, when it's convenient. Got it. Jon Stewart, you know what? Look, we give him credit when credit's due. But you know what? We do have to mention, we did throw this up earlier, but yeah, Jon Stewart is also the guy that pinned a medal on a Ukrainian Nazi at Disney World. And I would have loved to have been a fly on the room. Thanks for that. Makes sense. 1, 2, 3, go. I would love to have been a fly on the wall when the moment that the first person informed Jon Stewart that he had actually pinned a pin on a Nazi in Disney World. I would have loved to see Jon Stewart's face. I don't know if he knew at the time, but I'm sure I know somebody has told him since. I'd love to see his facial reaction on that. But yeah, we call it when he gets it right. We call it out. When he gets it wrong, we also call it out. Okay. Yeah. So do this. There we go. We always get this one late. It never comes in on time. But thanks for getting the raid on here. We always appreciate it. Do dissidents. Shout out to those guys. They do excellent work over there. Excellent work. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, we're getting the Rumble rant right now. This is from Stoop Sign. Thanks so much for the Rumble rant. I have to do a little copy and paste because Rumble doesn't totally sync up with us right away, at least. Here we go. Megyn Kelly's paycheck depends on missing the point. So don't be surprised when she misses the point. 100%. Absolutely. Thank you for that. This is from Stoop Sign. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's see. We got here's another Ukrainian tour. Yeah, so there was a bunch of people going out raising money for Nazis. This is from Make Sense 1, 2, 3, go again. What's even more unbelievable is Jello Blafra and Trey Cool went on tour to raise money for Ukraine Nazis last year. Oh man, I don't know those artists or who they are, but it is unbelievable how many people put up that blue and yellow flag in their social. Some more prominent people I can remember. You had Paul McCartney. That was a hard one to see. That was a really hard one to watch. This guy, he's 70, what now, 80 something. And he's putting this big flag. He was down in Orange County here, just going, raising this huge flag on a stage and just waving it and going, And I always wonder, if John Lennon was alive, would he be like, Paul, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? You've been had. That's pretty much it. But yeah, all of them were just like all the artists that sold out for COVID. They danced around. They told you to get your jibbity jab. I mean, the music is just gone. It's just gone completely downhill. There's nobody standing up on the right side. You don't really have too many. And when they do, the very few that do, they get ostracized. They get canceled. There's not too many Roger Waters out there. There's not too many Eric Claptons out there. There's not too many Ice Cubes out there. These are the people, very few of them. That's all we have left in the music industry. Anyways, but entertainment industry, we get it. A lot of people have tuned out from it, but they still have a lot of influence. They have a lot of followers, and it's just nice if even just a handful of them, it's better than nothing. But use your influence, have courage, get out there, say this is bullshit. Just we need more of that. We need more of that from the entertainment side of things, not less. Okay. Let's see a few more. Yeah, we had Pasta come in from icy snow, cold Minnesota. Oh man. Luckily he was able to get us a feed from his hotel room. That was good. That worked out. Oh, Stomach Worm. Thanks for the chat here. Happy Fuck Zionist Tuesday. Happy. I didn't know it was Fuck Zionist Tuesday. Well, happy Fuck Zionist Tuesday back at you, Stomach Worm. Love it. Let's see. We have we'll get to a little more of you guys' comments here. Here we go. I didn't star some of these. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. Chatter X, thanks for tuning in. The Russian Mike, the Russian bot, inverted totalitarianism finds expression in the anonymity of the corporate state. It purports to cherish democracy, patriotism, and the Constitution. Yeah, inverted totalitarianism. That's yeah. The corporate state is what it's all facade. It's all theater. And people fall for this. This is the opposite of democracy, patriotism, and the Constitution. As we're seeing in real time, we're literally watching the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 10th Amendment, all getting wilted down. There is no more Constitution, but this is from the party. This is from the team that was supposed to come in and take on the deep state. They're one amendment after the next is getting cut out. There's not going to be much left. Not going to be much amendment left. Let's see here. We have okay. I mean, you guys, let's be, come on. Let's not be so mean to these Jewish supremacists. Zion, this is from Jenks Carlson. Zionists are the most racist scum on the earth. Fact. Okay. Now that's a little antiseptic of you there. But hey, you know what? We all have a right to our opinion, right? And we all have a right to free speech for now, but that's not going to be for long. That's not going to be for long at all. Oh, we did see Ed Rams. Thanks for tuning in, Ed Rams. Sup, everyone? Les, Matt, and Pasta, how are them strikes going? Lots of movement here in the Kaiser close to me. Oh, good. Okay, good. You got some movement there. I'll tell you what, Ed, we just covered, and I know you did this before we did the topic, we did the segment. There's going to be more action. We hope this thing grows. I'm glad it's growing where you're at. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. We just kind of covered the pre-strike today, but we'll be talking to Leslie about it as well. I know she actually threw some comments up here. We'll get to those in a second. But yeah, this is going to be ongoing. So appreciate all your support. Anybody that sees one of these strikes, be supportive. Always be on the side of the worker. Always be on the side of the protester. Come on, guys. Haven't you learned by now? Haven't you learned? You want to be on the right side of history? Be outside with the people. That's how it goes. Thanks, Ed Rams, for that. Let's get to a couple more here. What do we got? No, this is true. This is true. New rule. New rule from Bonzo Beans. Fuck Zionists. I like it. Do you think Bill Maher would ever take that new rule on his show if we asked him nicely? I'm joking, of course. That's the last thing. That's the last thing Bill Maher would have as a new rule. The last thing, as we know. I'm not, look, I don't know what this means, Stomach Worm. I see an emoji for an Israeli flag. I see a heart. I see a word that starts with P. not going to I'm not going to be able to put this together. Just thought I should put this up here. Maybe you guys can figure out what that means. But just wanted to, throw it out there. That's that. Okay. What else we got here? Oh yeah, this is being awfully nice about it. Jenks Carlson, Bernie is a bit slow, isn't he? Yeah, a bit slow. He likes to catch up to. Well, maybe it is a genocide. Maybe it is. I won't say that. I'm not gonna say it. You know what? That Larry Ellison guy, I just looked him up on Wikipedia. It looks like he owns everything now. I didn't know that. I thought it was Trump. I thought Trump was the problem. I didn't know. I didn't know that Bernie didn't know. I didn't know that Larry Ellison was buying up all the media companies. I better tell what's left of my followers, and they'll get angry when I tell them to get angry. Not a year ago, not 2 years ago. They get angry now. I don't want them. I don't want to be angry when Joe Biden, my good friend Joe Biden, is in office. I don't want to be angry then. Be angry when Trump's in office. That's how it works. Okay, yeah, timing's everything there, Bernie. And this is a little more accurate from Child of God. Appreciate you tuning in. Bernie is a low down, extra slimy hustler. That's another way to put it. That's another way to put it. And we were there for you, man. We were there. We showed up. We showed up. Take on the oligarchy. We showed up. Taking on Big Pharma, taking on the military industrial complex. We were there, man. But hey, we learn as we go. We've learned a lot. Thank you, Bernie, for teaching us how real capture works, how real propaganda works, how real controlled opposition works. Thank you. You taught us a lot. I didn't know all that before you came along. I didn't know. Now we know. And knowing's half the battle. This must be a typo. I'm assuming this is a typo. I think he meant YouTube. YouTube shadow ban anything political I say. Yeah, I agree. YouTube does that. They do. Must have been a typo. I think it's a typo. We're not allowed to say. We're not allowed to say who owns. We're not allowed to say who owns everything. Come on, guys. That's a hate crime. Can't say who owns anything. The people who own it can brag about owning it. We can't say they own it. That's not okay. Not okay. Hate crime. Hate crime. Hate crime. Don't mention it. All right. What do we got here? Okay. We have Anon user. Thanks for tuning in. Always love your Luigi profile. Just another opportunist wannabe tech bro. The worm will turn once narratives turn against the gobbling wealth, whatever method he uses. We'll hope. And thank you for respecting my skepticism. I think you're speaking of Yanni Anna Woody. Thank you so much. I think you're respecting my take on this new platform, and I get it. I get the new platform is people are excited about starting up there. This is the one, and I'll put this super chat up from Citizen. Thank you, Citizen. I just want to put this one up again. The screw Twitter. Let's move to UpScrolled. So I'm not saying don't go to UpScrolled. I'm saying just be skeptical because the CEO came from Oracle. That's it. That's all I'm saying. The CEO came from Oracle. That's just something you guys need to just understand that. And that's so he was part of the development of the software, the Israeli spyware that ultimately is now controlling Twitter and controlling Paramount and controlling CBS. That's the spyware. The same spyware that murders Palestinians. The same spyware that Palantir is using with ICE right now on the app called Elite that's patrolling the streets of Minneapolis right now. Same spyware. So, okay, start an UpScrolled account. You can do it, but just know, even though the guy is and I'll mention this if you guys missed the segment earlier, he's a Palestinian. That's great. That's great. Mamdani is now also governor of New York. He also, represents the Muslim faith. So he's like, that's great. However, you're still a mouthpiece for the establishment. So on one hand, hey guys, it's great. We had our first black president. Didn't that feel good back in 08, 09? That felt so good. It feels good. But what is the policy being implemented? The policy is everything. The words are just words. Policy is everything. And policy's been the same on all sides. So whatever, we'll be skeptical. We'll continue, hopefully skeptical, but we'll see. Don't cancel your Twitter account just yet. Don't cancel your Twitter account just yet. All right, do a few more. Okay. This is another one from Stoop Sign. In Trump's America, you gotta look at the world through orange tinted glasses. Hey, Pasta. Oh, that's a reference to Pasta the glasses. That's great. That's great. Very cool. Yeah, he definitely looks. Trump definitely looks at the world through an orange lens. What else we have here? Okay. From Matthew Swiss. Thank you for tuning in. That calm will only last until Iran gets attacked. The distraction will be used to go full force. And this is the calm before the storm. We covered this during World War III watch. Thanks for the comment. Yes, that's it does feel like we're at a calm before the storm. And there was just enough manufacturer consent that when it comes up again, there will be people that go, "Oh, that's right. Iran needed our help." Remember, Trump said, "Yeah, we're help is on its way." So that'll be our first bombing. Will be help is on the way. That's what that will be. So we're just at the calm before the storm, and there's just enough people on board for this. Just like there were just enough people on board for taking Maduro. Just enough. And I mean just enough, not just on Trump's side. There's just enough on the other side as well. That's how it works. You can say, I hate Trump, but yeah, Maduro had to go. Oh, I hate Trump, but yeah, Iran needs help from their own regime. We're going to go in there and help them. See, and this they've been doing this shit. Bush, Cheney. Everybody hated Bush and Cheney. But guess what? Saddam needed to be taught a lesson. Guess what? We got to get bin Laden. Obama's going to go get bin Laden, isn't he? Well, what about the trial? Don't worry about the trial. We killed him. He's in the ocean. Yay, Obama. You murdered bin Laden. Good job. Wait a minute. Even the Republicans hated Obama. They can't stand Obama. But they were like, well, at least we got Osama. At least we got, there's no, so they got just enough manufacturer consent from the other side that they can do this and they can get away with it. The media goes right along with it. Okay, let's get down to, yeah, people love the conversation with Pasta. I got to let him know that I don't know if he's probably not watching now, but I'll let him know. Great. Thank you, Craig, for the great conversation and giving us what's on the ground. And by the way, he's going to be there for a little bit. So I think he bought a one-way ticket. So he's not, they got him up there indefinitely. We'll see what goes on. We don't even know what's going to go on the rest of today, tomorrow. So that's good journalism, right, guys? That's what it's about. So we appreciate the boots on the ground. Okay. What else we got here? Yeah, Nurse Alex, R.I.P. Thank you for that. And no Shadow Walker. Appreciate it. This Manimus, thanks for tuning in. 1 death is too many in Iran, but 2 deaths is all right. Wow. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, and this is like terrorist. Thank you. Yeah, so embarrassing. Yawn, so embarrassing. Same old playbook. Yeah, and here's, if you want more of a breakdown, Mike, the Russian bot. I love it. An extra 117 billion in tariffs in 2025, i.e. Trump increased our taxes by 117 billion. Wow, look how that math worked out. So we're paying for the tariffs. We're paying for a lot of shit. We're paying for a genocide in Gaza. We're paying for Israel's healthcare. Did you guys know that one? We're paying for Israelis to have healthcare while we battle and fight and bicker about how we can't afford it for us. We can't afford healthcare for us, but we can afford it for Israel. So interesting how that money always comes back. It always hits us. No one else ever has to pay for it. And this is what striking is all about. This is what organizing is all about. You have to force the CEOs and shareholders Stick it to them. We're not going to foot the bill anymore. That's the thing. We need more organizing, more people in the street, not just when someone gets murdered. And I get it. That's a horrible thing. But we need to be in the street for other reasons too. We need to be in the street for Epstein. Why has there been zero arrests? Oh, plenty of undocumented workers getting arrested. 2,000 whatever arrests. Great. Where are the Epstein arrests? Well, that's hard to do. That's hard to go into rich people's homes and arrest them. That's hard. We'd rather just pull people out of their cars, bust in their homes that don't have gates surrounding them. That's easier. We don't want to disturb the peace of rich neighborhoods, which billionaires who do horrible things that go to horrible places like Jeffrey Epstein Island and do awful things. And we have all the evidence of who did these things. We don't want to disturb those neighborhoods. So we're just going to disturb your neighborhood. That's more fun. And people go along with that. They love it. Yeah, show that illegal. Show them who's boss. Rough them up. Where's the outrage for Epstein? Where is it? Where is it? Well, this was the plan. Distract everyone from it. That's what this was. There we go. Okay. Okay. So I just had to read a couple of these. All right. Okay. So based on, and thank you, Bonzo Beans. Thanks for modding, by the way. Got to go take care of all the best for Lady Liberty. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'll do one more and I'll put the rest up. Actually, I have Leslie's responded to some of these here. Based on the strike, we did the strike segment, the Kaiser strike segment that was happening. I was made to feel guilty. The millionaire Kaiser elites should be the ones to feel guilty. What the F? Exactly. That's the point. They want to punch down at the worker when they're the ones with all the effing money. They're the ones with all the effing money. There isn't enough money, they say. Yeah. We don't know where to get it from. Hey guys, we don't know where the money's at. Let's just take it out of the workers. Let's just tax the people. Let's tax the worker. Let's do that. And then let's tax the patient. Let's just keep upping their premiums, their coverage. Let's just keep upping their copays. Let's just do that. We're not going to take a hit. No. Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. Okay, guys, last one. And then we'll move on. We got 2 more segments for you guys. Let's see here. We have this is a nice one to end on. Nylam, thank you so much. Are you still talking about the Epstein files? That's from Donald. You remember the Democratic hoax? Well, it worked. He got everyone to shut up about it. He did. Hey, it worked. Good for him. He made everyone feel bad about bringing up a thing that we all should be over because that guy's boring and he killed himself. And why do we keep obsessing about it? Now we got some more neighborhoods to terrorize, and we got some more countries to go kidnap more leaders and bring our help. Help is on the way, guys. Democracy's on the way. So yeah, let's stop talking about this guy. Okay, that should do it for Talking Back today. And if you guys anything else you want to put up there, and we do appreciate all your super chats, all your Rumble rants. Very appreciative of that. And yeah, it goes a long way, guys. Keep us going, and we appreciate all you. Okay. I think we're gonna do this. Yeah, this one I was kind of on the fence about doing it, but we're gonna do it anyways. There's one more angle I want to look at when it comes to Alex Pretty. It's a tough road to go down. We're gonna attempt it. We're gonna start this segment with some James Lee, but if there's one thing that's going to come out of this conversation we're about to have with you guys, hang on to your seats. We're calling this segment the Making of a Psyop. Let's start with James Lee, because he's he's been really good on these issues. Great on Epstein, great on Charlie Kirk, great on all of it. Let's see James Lee's assessment of what's been happening in the streets in Minneapolis. And then we're going to go a little bit down the rabbit hole of making a psyop, which I think at the bare minimum, it's good that we understand how this works, whether or not it's applying to this particular situation or not. That's yet to be determined, but it's worth going down the rabbit hole. So let's start with James Lee. Break it down for us, guy.
Something very insidious going on right now, and I don't think it's what you think it is.
When things looked really bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held that line for the nation on that July 3rd, 1863. And I think now we may be in that moment.
I think part of the responsibility is also on the Democratic Party because it's dangerous. Now we know these guys are not well trained. Something could happen. You could be totally following all the rules. You're just standing there filming totally within your constitutional rights, and all of a sudden, 20 seconds later, you're dead. What would compel a person, a good person in my opinion, to go out there and say this is worth the risk? Because look, there's a lot of other things going on right now that I think we should be in the streets about. Okay, number one, Epstein files. Okay, none of the pedophiles involved have been arrested. There's no investigations. That's an issue. The other issue, spraying food with pesticides, poisoning the food system. Why isn't the Democratic Party or the Republican Party unifying people and saying this is so bad we need to take to the streets to make sure that we get clean food? It's none of that stuff. It's just about how do we manipulate the population. Just last week, they passed a law saying that they can now, from 2028 onwards, remotely shut down cars.
It was supposed to be if you're drunk driving, they can look at you and they should. We know that ain't the case.
No.
We know James is gonna say he's against Bibi Netanyahu and he ain't going to the next stoplight, ladies and gentlemen. They're stopping you right in your fucking tracks.
Look, I'm keeping the car that I have, okay? But my point is, these are all very legitimate issues to be exercising your First Amendment rights
100%.
over, but they choose the issue that's the most divisive, which is like a wedge issue around immigrants. Like, you can be pro-immigrant, you can be anti-immigrant. There's no really right or wrong answer to that because based on your background and what you believe a country should be. Some people are like, we just want to be us. Like, Scotland should be Scotland. Like, we should have no more people coming in.
Yeah.
Right? I think the people are being deliberately misled.
Okay, so he brings up some great points. These are, and we spoke about this earlier. The Epstein's not being talked about. These other things, that these pesticides being put into our food. These would be great issues to get in the street on. And like, obviously, we care when fellow human beings are murdered by these terrorist ICE agents, and that obviously we need to respond to that. But we've been distracted, and it's being done on purpose. That's what he's suggesting here. And the conversation we never have, we never have the conversation about Palantir. Well, we have it on this show. Well, you try to bring Palantir up with even these lefty activists, they still don't understand that there's the technocracy element behind all of these maneuvers, that it is not actually about immigration. That's the part that gets overlooked and gets kind of brushed aside. I have conversations with people here in Hollywood. They're posting like crazy about Alex Pretty and they're posting like crazy about Renee Good, but they don't want to talk about Palantir. They don't want to talk about these other issues, and they do think Epstein is kind of overplayed. They don't know any better. James Lee does point out Palantir is literally the company behind these ICE agents. Look at this. They're standing right in front of the damn sign, and the app they're using on their phone is called Elite, and that's the app they're using to track us and trace us, and that's the app that they're putting all the rest of us. If you hold a phone to ICE, if you hold a phone to them, and they get your facial recognition, you're going in a database listed as a domestic terrorist. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Okay. So all that's been put out there. But how does this propaganda work? Is this really the fault of the people not knowing how to prioritize the thing to get passionate about? Are these issues that they normally would care about, but they don't because they're being tricked? Well, all that can be true. But the trickery, make no mistake, it's there. It's there. And it's done in a very sophisticated way. So let's look before we go down the rabbit hole of making a psyop. Let's first look at the basic elements of propaganda. There's 9 points to it. So let's look at these. This is important. 9 principles of propaganda. Number 1 is lie, and these are not in any order. They're all important. You could actually reorder these. So just keep that in mind. These aren't in like order of bigness or some sort of chronological. They do these all. They rotate all of them. They're all useful. So you have a big lie. It's they work well. Big lies work better than small because the masses won't believe that anyone would lie about that. That's how it works. It's pretty genius. Lie big or go home, right? 2, focus. Don't make it complicated. So it's about these little small bullet points that people can get in their head. And that leads you to number 3, repeat. Repeat these small bullet points. People can't tell the difference between facts and familiarity. It's very true. Very true. You hear something over and over. 6 feet apart. 2 weeks to slow the curve. We have to, bringing democracy to Ukraine, whatever it is. We have to fight him over there, so we don't fight him here. There's a whole list. There's a mile long of these little tiny incremental things that get you geared up, and you think you're hearing something that is fact, but it's really just repetition. It's called repetition. Okay. So you got blame. Blame is very important because this keeps the divide on your peripheral. It's right there. The divide is important. The part about it is that it's their fault. It's your fault. So you never want to credit the other side. You want to always blame, debase, defame, dehumanize. That's important. It keeps us in our tribe. 5, provoke. Outrage, fear, resentment. These are more powerful than reason, logic, and facts. So that's, you take advantage of people in a vulnerable place, which leads to 6. 6 is very important because crisis. You must present to the public a life and death scenario that allows these other emotions to be more accessible. So there's always a good versus evil. There's always a love versus hate, always an us versus them, urgency. And I would add to this, not just the urgency defeating objection, but you're creating urgency. You're creating a battle between good versus evil, but you're also creating high stakes, which is what a crisis is. A crisis isn't, I can't find my keys. I mean, you might think that's a crisis because you might miss a very important job interview or something. You can't find your keys. You can't move your car. You're stuck. Okay. But crisis is when the stakes are so high, our emotions get the better of us. So you create that. Like with COVID, you put the death count on the screen, on that CNN screen every day. Fast a rewind to the 2000s. You have to flash terror alert, terror alert, terror alert constantly. Create the crisis. That way, the urgency is there and the emotions are high, which leads to emotion. A person might question facts, but they will never question their own feelings. You guys probably know this from any debates you used to have with anybody who you said, hey, guys, turns out COVID was just, symptoms of a flu, only affecting people that were elderly and had other ailments, not young people. Wasn't really a problem. Children should never gotten the damn thing. Nobody should have gotten the damn thing. But you can't argue emotion. People who are afraid, that's all they have to work with. They don't want to talk facts, but that's how we're wired, and they take advantage of that. That's why that's important. Pandering. You want to praise people that are talking the same bullet points you are. You hype them up. And that's just like when you blame. So 4 and 8 work very well together. You blame the other team, the other side, make them the bad guy, and then you talk up people that are on your side. That's how you do it. And number 9, I don't want to say the most important one, but it's a reminder that there will never be morality in play. So anytime we go back and we go, what was J.D. Vance thinking? What was Kristi Noem thinking? Why would they say these things that don't feel like they're based on morality? I wonder if they'd go back, they would say it differently. I wonder if J.D. Vance goes back, he would say, under no exception, are these ICE agents ever going to have any immunity? I mean, that there's nothing moral about that, right? Do you think he would? No, that was the whole point. It didn't slip his mind. It wasn't a mistake. It's the opposite of a moral compass is when you make blatant accusations and you do one size fits all assessments that completely lack any moral compass at all, which means exactly what it says, no limit. There's no point you get to where you go, well, maybe we went a little far. Maybe we went a little far in Gaza. Maybe we went a little far with mandates and lockdowns. Maybe we went a little far with money to Zelensky, the cokehead that wants more money and is embezzling all this money. It's not going to anything. Maybe we went a little far. So that's how propaganda works. I'd like to stop there, but I think what's important right now is we just take a little journey down the road of making a psyop as it relates to Alex Pretty. And again, this is just speculative. It's not based on any facts other than there are red flags, and red flags are important to point out when we see them. So let's take a look at how this works. And if it's not, if it doesn't ring relevant to you in this case, it should ring relevant in some case. So it's important just to know how this works. So let's look at this. Making of a psyop. Here's the checklist. Really important. Over the top police presence. Okay. So when you're creating a psyop, you got to have over the top police presence. Massive law enforcement response arrives almost instantly. Multiple units, tactical gear, vehicles, and cordons everywhere. Long before any verified facts are available, the visual is all about shock and control. Great. Check. Exaggerated media coverage and amplification. Local and national news outlets loop the footage nonstop. Same phrases, same talking points. So this all comes from, you guys saw the previous part. Simple phrases, repeat, 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 right? No real investigation. They're never looking into it. There's no actual investigation. So clips, headlines, push alerts frame the story for you before evidence even appears. We have no body cam footage. We don't need it. We already have the story. And then you have inappropriate family testimony. Relatives close are on camera within hours, speaking in polished, highly detailed paragraphs. The tone does not match fresh trauma. Oh, we saw that in Australia, right? We saw that at Bondi Beach. Remember that? Just this articulate victim, blood going down his head, just ready to give you those sound bites immediately. He was doing selfies too. Look at me. I just got shot in the head. Sound bites about, I came here to escape. I was afraid for my life in Israel because the Palestinians were going to get me and exterminate me. So I came to Australia, and now I've been attacked again, and my blood's coming out of my head, and it's time we put an end to anti-Semitism. All ready to go. Talking points ready to go on the scene. So sometimes they do this with family members or just onlookers, people that are ready to articulate the thing that'll help drive the point. Okay, great. Check, check, and check. Although I don't know if I've seen that for the Alex Pretty one. I don't know. I haven't seen any inappropriate family testimony there. But let's see what else boxes that you need to check. No visible blood or injuries. That's an interesting one. I think the picture there, those are the two. I believe it's hard to tell from the picture, but that could be the two National Guardsmen that were shot in DC. Not sure, but it is interesting with the blood and the injuries that you know how on these films that have to have these hard R ratings, and sometimes it's so graphic, it's too much blood to show. A lot of these real life incidences, you don't see the blood, not like you would in real life. It looks like sometimes Hollywood does a better job at showing you graphic content when someone gets shot in the head and the skull pieces go everywhere. Sometimes we don't see that when you have a camera on, you have a camera phone on, an actual person getting shot in the head, you don't see. So it's something to think about. We don't see the massive blood spill that you should see when someone gets shot, 70 times or 10 times or whatever. You don't see the blood. It comes across as a made-for-TV movie, or a PG-13 film, or a film that had to get edited down, and you take the blood out. and you have the people killed and you have less of an emotional impact there. It's weird because you think they would spend more time like Hollywood style making it bloody. So that's something to look at. Here's one I never thought of till I saw this. I never thought of how quickly the fundraising gets launched, how quickly that happens. That is a very interesting one. You would think if somebody close to you, God forbid, gets murdered, what would that process look like putting a fundraiser together? Could you do that in the same day? Could you do that within 24 hours? If you can't, who could? Somebody that knows them, somebody that you third-party contract, somebody who you have to interview and say, will you do this? Can I pay? How much do I pay you? Do I give you information about my loved one? How many pictures do you need? Any phrases that would sound good? I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before. My loved one just got murdered. They got their face blown off, and I'm supposed to put a fundraiser together. Everyone's telling me do this immediately. Can I do it in 24 hours or less? Is that even possible unless the thing was planned in advance? How does that? I never thought of that. It's something to consider how fast these things pop up. And of course, your vigil ceremony. These are big productions that are put together very quickly. And again, I'm not saying every time we see these things, they're fake. I'm saying keep this in mind, especially when you see ones that seem to be so rapid. They have all these things ready to go. It's interesting at the bare minimum. It's interesting. Okay, now we're gonna go a little deeper. I'm gonna introduce you guys to Morgan. Morgan did a little dive on this, and you'll either like what she did, you might not like it. I think it's worth a look. And if you like her, you can follow her. I'll throw her Twitter up at the very end here. But let's see what Morgan did here. Okay. And again, this is just for informative, educational purposes, not necessarily applied to Alex Pretty. But let's see what work she did here. Okay. Most stage incidents follow recurring criteria or patterns. Applying them directly to the January 24th, 2026 alleged fatal shooting of Alex Pretty, 27-year-old ICU nurse shot by Federal Border Patrol ICE agents in Minneapolis during an anti-ICE protest based on several bystander videos. Okay. Rapid. Okay. Over the top official law enforcement response. So we covered all that, right? Those are the things you do very quickly. Massive federal presence, 5 to 7 agents swarming. DHS immediately blocked local police in Minnesota BCA from the scene, even with warrants. No body cams released or seen on any of the agents, despite a $30 billion budget and bills that made them mandatory a year ago. Wow. $30 billion budget, mandatory body cams, yet we haven't seen anything yet. And we didn't see them on the agents themselves. So instant cordon and takeover create shock control visuals before facts emerge. Do these really look like law enforcement to you? Or do they look like extras in a training simulation? Okay, again, this is the work she did, but they're great questions, interesting questions to ask. Okay, do these look like agents? Hard to tell. Could this be a movie set? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows who's under those masks? What the hell do we know anyways at this point? What the hell do we even know? Good questions to ask. If I were to direct a movie with a scene that requires this type of work, these are the actors I'd hire I would certainly make sure that they can do this job, and we would have a costume designer, and we would have a location manager, and we'd have a set designer, and we'd have all the things you need to create this. It'd be quite a job. It would be quite a job, but you would cover these bases, I guess. Okay. And then this looks okay. This could be a scene out of ER or COVID. A lot of workers standing around not working. I don't know if the hospital can go on pause like this. Even during a strike, you still need workers. That's what they do. They fly in other workers. I don't know if they can all these ones standing around like this. I guess apparently they're all crying over Alex Pretty. All of them are. That happened. Okay, so they're all lined up. It's a nice theatrically speaking, that's a nice shot. Okay. Well, what else you got, Morgan? What else you got? Okay. Immediate narrative framing by authorities, media, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, and Trump officials labeled him, as we know, was labeled a domestic terrorist minutes after claiming he approached with a handgun for a massacre. And that's what they said. That's insane that they said that. Uniform talking points across outlets. We covered that on Real Fake News. It was literally a script read almost verbatim by both of those assholes, by Kristi Noem and by Gregory Bovino, the commander of the U.S. Border Patrol. They were literally reading the same script. Okay, well we know all that. Okay, and they framed it very early. This anything that contradicts them, they downplay it as misinformation. So the story framed early, and the evidence is always secondary. Okay, what else? So we showed you guys this earlier. These are the facts that we discovered. I don't know if Morgan is saying that this is also put together too quickly. Did whoever designed this, they put it? I mean, I guess we got AI. They can whip these out pretty quickly, I guess. So yeah, she's saying that these are headlines ready to go immediately on January 24th. Nicholas Rice writes this article on the actual day, has the whole thing ready to go. Kindred, kind-hearted soul. Sickening lies. So these are quotes from interviews. I guess they immediately got on the phone with loved ones. Immediately, like within an hour or two. They're on the phone getting these very specific quotes immediately from loved ones. Somebody saying, one of his loved ones saying he wanted to make a difference in this world. Well, that's some damn good investigation. I wish they could have been this good investigating things that we needed more work on. Like, I don't know, the Lahaina fires or the LA fires or the hurricanes, the North Carolina. I wonder if they could get this exact so quickly. Remember they told us with Lahaina fires too soon to do an investigation. Well, it is interesting that you're able to get on the phone immediately the day he's murdered and get these direct quotes. Okay, well, that's good journalism, I guess. Okay, the party told you you guys know the quote. You know this very well, right from George Orwell, right from 1984. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. And this is a little drawing of the murder itself. But I'm not convinced on this. Again, this is good information to have, appreciate it, but I'm not convinced to apply it specifically to this incident. But she's got more. She's got more. Inconsistencies in physical forensic evidence. Okay, well, let's see. We got a checklist: clean clothing, undisturbed surroundings, no one even reacting. Well, we had a woman freaking out on the cell phone, so we had people reacting despite catastrophic injuries described. This one gets me. This one's hard. No visible blood. You guys saw all that footage. Didn't see any blood in any of the footage. It's weird. Maybe it's hard to pick up on the, because of the pixelation and the snow and people moving around. It's hard to find. No medical equipment. Some would say that ICE doesn't have medical equipment. They can give an F about medical equipment. And it didn't look like realistic emergency care signs. Okay, again, this could be the deliberate incompetence of ICE agents and their protocol, which doesn't really seem like they have an emergency care protocol. So she's right. None of that was present. So in the videos, 8 to 10 shots are fired. Some say initially that it was accidental because they were pulling the gun. They got it off of his person. The gun fired. Some say, again, accidental. There are pauses, and then there's follow-up volleys right into him. He was pinned. Now, she's saying he was barely pinned. Limited or no immediate pulling or splattering visible. And again, that's hard to explain. I don't know why doesn't seem to be any blood in any of the filming that we've seen, any of those videos. There's like no blood. Okay, but maybe that's because he had on those layers of clothes and it stays. Okay, so I guess there's explanations. Agents disperse without rendering aid. Again, we covered this. This is because you could argue that ICE doesn't give an F about giving aid. We know that they kept a pediatric, or no, what do you call it? One of the medical self-identifying medical workers was not allowed to tend to Renee Good. Said, "Stay back, sir. We don't need your help." So they don't seem to have these protocols, but she's suggesting they don't have them because they didn't need them. She might be suggesting that. Okay. No CPR, no scene secured for medics. This directly violates post-force life-saving protocol. Again, we could argue that they need to be held accountable for that because he demanded to have that and he didn't get it. They did violate the protocol. She's saying it's because they didn't need it. I think that's what she's suggesting here. But I would say, regardless, they need to be held accountable. I think we can agree on that part, right? We can agree on that. Well, let's just see. I didn't want to do the show today and like overplay anything about the murder itself, but let's just watch the after part and just keep in mind that you're not seeing any blood. And of course you're not seeing any medical equipment because these guys, they don't have that protocol. And they're not there to save lives. They're there to endanger lives. But you be the call. Tell me if you think any of this looks like it could be manufactured. I don't know, but just asking. A lot of people standing around. Another thing I've noticed watching this is that these guys are not, none of these people in this shot, I know it's hard to see it, but none of them seem to really be behaving like actual thuggish ICE agents. Like was this another group that was hired or placed that don't seem to present the badges and the tough, they seem to be kind of standing around, a lot of standing around. I don't know. Again, I think that you could argue that they just don't have those protocols. They don't give an F. There's no first aid ready to go. Again, it's grainy, so I don't know. I can't see any blood in this video. I don't know if you guys have seen any blood in this at all. But it's good to point these things out. It's good to point these things out. Okay, well, let's go back to the rest of Morgan's work here. So we saw all of these violations. So at the least, somebody needs to be held accountable for not, going through the protocol that apparently is in the books, that you have to have post-force life-saving protocol, which they clearly didn't do. Nobody can say that they did because they didn't, just like with Renee Good. So both of these people were victims of this deliberate not having life-saving protocol in place, even though apparently it's in the manual and there's billions of dollars that was spent for that to happen. So clearly somebody needs to be held accountable here. Here's the part when she says the clean cut, basic clothing dude. Here's all some selfies people gathered and they throw it together and they said, this is just the guy that kind of presents this way. Now look, is that I don't think, what is that blodge when he's going on his knee there on the right? Is that some sort of blood coming? I don't think so. But yeah, there's no droplets of blood anywhere. Whatever. Okay, so this is the guy. This is the guy. Again, just throwing it out here. Just throwing it out here. Okay. Protocol violations by responders. They couldn't cuff a pepper sprayed civilian, right? Well, yes, this is, again, they're not equipped to do this. They're not trained to do this. They don't give an F about de-escalating, restraining. Obviously you could. Any person that wasn't a psychopath that had a little bit of training in how to de-escalate, you could cuff somebody after you sprayed them with pepper spray. You could definitely do it. It's pretty easy. Pretty easy. I told you guys I worked in security. I've had to cuff people before. It's you de-escalate. You don't get, there's no reason that I've never, ever pepper sprayed someone. If I had, you think the next thought is, now I got to murder him? So I think we all agree on this. But again, Morgan is saying that none of that was needed because the whole thing might have been staged. That's what she's saying. So, yeah, no immediate handcuffs, arrest, despite 6 agents. So no one was there to arrest anyone. That didn't happen. Nobody got out handcuffs. Even though they say, oh, he broke a law. Megyn Kelly, Adam Carolla, they told you you can't you touch a federal agent, you're committing a felony. Okay, where are the handcuffs? Where the F are the handcuffs? Very strange. Okay, the mixed attire. Now you guys saw that in the pictures of the actual agents. They all seem to have plain clothes, no full uniforms or badges visible. Interesting. They didn't have that whole. You guys know that look they've had when they patrol around. It didn't seem like any of them had that look that were stationed specifically by Alex Pretty. They didn't seem to have that, but who knows? Maybe those were just grainy, like I said, grainy footage. You can't really see all the details. But this is what she means. They're not really looking like the full-on gear. Here they are surrounding him upon his murder, his death. Yeah, it's weird. It's like this some of these outfits could have come from a costume shop. Could have. I don't know. I'm not saying. So she's saying rapid polish family witness testimony. Parents Michael and Susan Pretty. Now we didn't cover this earlier, but just if you guys didn't know that there was an issued statement. So we talk about putting fundraisers together. We talk about statements from the family. So somehow they got a really articulate statement out pretty quickly. And what Morgan is asking is what parents of their dead child would be able to say something like this. Parents of Alex Jeffrey Pretty, we are heartbroken, but also very angry. Alex was a kind-hearted soul who cared deeply for his family and friends, and also the American veterans whom he cared for as an ICU nurse at the Minneapolis VA hospital. Alex wanted to make a difference in this world. Unfortunately, he will not be with us to see his impact. I do not throw around the hero term lightly. However, his last thought and act was to protect a woman. The sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Alex is clearly not holding a gun when attacked by Trump's murdering and cowardly ICE thugs. He had his phone in his right hand, and his empty left hand is raised above his head while trying to protect the woman ICE just pushed down, all while being pepper sprayed. Please get the truth out about our son. He was a good man. Thank you. Who talks like this? I mean, not everyone has parents that could do this. That's absolutely true. Also, it is of note, and you guys saw the article that came out the day he died. This is the same day. This is January 24th. It's interesting that this was put together so fast. I think that's the biggest thing. How are people able to do this so effing quickly? It's strange. And let's get to the hardest part. How do you do? So you can put statements out. You can take phone calls. You can get little air quotes. Journalists can put out like immediately, like within hours. Okay, fine. But now we're going to get to the fundraising. That should be a red. That's weird. This part is weird. I never thought of this before I saw this from Morgan here. So fundraisers, memorials are launched extremely fast. So the GoFundMe, Alex Pretty is an American hero, is in. That's the packaging of the fundraiser. The GoFundMe, Alex Pretty is an American hero. It was organized by Keith Edwards for Mike Pretty. Launched the same day, fully built with bio photo slogans, raised over $700,000 immediately. In this GoFundMe, the fine print Immigrant Defense Project refers to a real nonprofit based in New York that works on immigrant rights, especially where immigration enforcement overlaps with the criminal legal system. Their own materials describe their work as litigation, policy and advocacy, community defense trainings, and a hotline, plus narrative change work. Well, here it is. This is the fundraiser. This is back when it was 671,000. And it looks really sharp. I think that whoever did this is a master at doing this. They got everything just right. And of course, the original projection of 20,000 was completely overwhelmed beyond that. Well beyond that. Probably at least double what it is here as of now, since this screenshot was taken. So, and I do think it's also interesting if you see at the bottom there where the money will be going. right to that nonprofit. So that means, does that mean they immediately called them immediately and said, hey, we can set this up for you, but you got to give the donations to our fund? Who made the call? The mom, the dad? Who did the paperwork to agree that this would be the official one? How did they do this right away? It's strange. I think I mean, you can imagine when you have to somehow find a way to get money. Could you imagine instantaneously having all these elements ready to go? It's baffling. So let's look at, so these are some of the donors. They say, be a top donor for Mike Pretty. Now, so Mike Pretty, I guess, yeah, this is the family member that's in charge of this, working with this fund, this immigration fund, and they're giving you little incentives. Now, look, I'm in filmmaking here, guys. I've been part of crowdfunding campaigns. A lot of my colleagues have initiated these. These are hard. GoFundMes are hard. They take hours and hours and hours just to set up. And then the maintenance is absolutely insane. The amount of hours I've seen people, colleagues, friends of mine, spend on this, getting the words just right, getting the language, getting the visuals, getting the numbers. The numbers are so important. You can't just instantaneously know this stuff unless you pre-planned it well before this date, which is I think what Morgan is suggesting. Or it doesn't have to be that nefarious. It could just be the fact that that a group jumps on this immediately and just takes over and says, we're taking this. We already have stuff in place. We're here. You don't do anything. Mike Pretty, the family member, doesn't actually do anything. We're going to do everything. Sign your name here. We're taking it. And we're going to have this up and going, and and then we're going to take all the money, and we'll give you a little bit for the funeral. So who knows? But it's something seems very shady about it. Well, let's look. So we got the vigil. They were immediately gathering on January 24th. That's huge. Who planned it? Who produced this? That's a big job. Planning an event like that, big job. They got it immediately. Wow. Coordination, communication, emailing, flyers, the location planning, making sure everything is set right. There's no problems. People know when to show up, where to go. So the it's huge. It's a huge deal. So she says, funny how this keeps happening. Tragedy goes viral. GoFundMe rockets past 500,000 overnight, and the top donor turns out to be, and here we go. This part should really get you guys upset. The top donor turns out to be a glossy angel investor, mentor, relentless builder type, straight out of Silicon Valley. Wow. So Ryan Murkett is the guy. So that's the guy. So Morgan discovered that Ryan Murkett is the guy that is the top donor so far on this campaign. And he's complete with a memoir and a personal hero website. So we're supposed to believe this organic community support and not a pre-wired activist tech funding loop just firing right on cue on January 24th, all at once. Everybody ready to go. At a minimum, and this is where we're at. I think this is where we're at. We're saying minimally, it shows how grief narratives get monetized and steered by people who already live inside influence and capital networks. That's all. We don't have to go further than that. We don't have to say this thing was pre-planned. We don't have to say the guy didn't really die. We don't say any of that. But at a bare minimum, we can say, wow, what a capture of something, of a community, of a family, of a grieving family. What a capture that you have something like this happen. So let's see, Ryan Murkett. Who is Ryan Murkett? Well, there he is. There he is. He's an angel, mentor, relentless builder. Get the book. Learn my story. You can hire him for 30 grand for a 15-minute speech at your next event. He'll show up. Just make sure you wire it to him in advance. He doesn't show up until you pay him in full. And make sure you click on get the book, Ryan Murkett. He will tell you how you too can be a tech genius, wealthy dude like him. And he is so far the top donor of this campaign. Good for him. And thank God for Pretty's family for having this relationship be so solid and so tight, so reliable, because how the hell are they going to do any of this when they're grieving over their son? How? I told you, filmmakers trying to raise money for their films, it's a fucking headache to do this. A headache. It's hours and hours and hours of work. And those are filmmakers are not grieving loved ones who just got shot in the back by ICE. So I'm just saying, they're the Pretty family is very lucky to have Ryan Murkett, angel, mentor, relentless builder at their side immediately, ready to do everything right and get that money in the bank. So Morgan's overall assessment for the case: nearly every red flag shows up in some form, especially the rapid prepackaged framing, apparent protocol irregularities, instant fundraising, and vigil mobilization, questionable profiles, the weird gaps where basic aid and normal process should be visible, and the inconsistencies across the available video and claims. And I'll just say, look, I'll stress that those protocols were never in place from the beginning. So we expect that at this point. They don't give an F about doing any protocols, no aid. That's just not a thing. So I don't buy that one, but I see her other points. My read is that what's being sold as law enforcement response does not look like a normal, unplanned, real-world encounter. It looks like a staged production with heavy post-processing. The visual texture and behavioral cues suggest a hybrid CGI crisis acting manipulation. And wow, she really went all in on that. And we're just reporting on it. That's all we're doing. If you liked what Morgan did, go ahead and follow her, check out her work. I admire the skepticism. I admire the work she did. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but these are very important questions to ask. And I think that at the least, what she's doing, what Morgan's doing there, is she's allowing us to just stay in the skeptical place that we need to be when these things happen. And we need to look for these types of red flags and ask ourselves, what are the makings of a psyop? And could it just be pieces? Does every single psyop have to be all in on every one of these? Maybe it's just a little here, a little there. You use what you need. It's a case-by-case situation. But these are things, this only gets us wiser and smarter, so we're ready for the next one. So we do appreciate the work that Morgan did here. And we'll keep our eyes open. Okay. We're going to throw up one more segment for you guys, and then we're going to call it a day. This one, we will be doing a tops since it's the end of January. Thursday will be the last show of January, and we will officially be able to roll out our countdown of top, I guess we call it top loudest voices of the previous year. It's good to look back on that. We'll be doing that on Thursday, but I do have a loudest voice of this week, which I didn't want to let get away, and we're not going to do that one we're just going to get this one done now. But it's very important because it has to do with the theme of today and people standing up, which they're doing. This is what it's about. It's about standing up and being on the side of humanity. And I think that's been the theme of today. I really think we talk about actually, let me set this up and then we'll get it started here. But yes. Okay. So we have this story is important because it takes place in Minneapolis. And I would have put it on maybe a top censored news because I don't think a lot of people don't even know this happened. But it was so loud. It was such a moment. And I didn't see it covered anywhere, but it deserves some attention. And we're going to feature it on Loudest Voice of the Week. Let's get ahead and get started with that. Here we go. It's the Loudest Voice of the Week, and we're coming to you guys in Minneapolis. We had Craig Pasta on the ground today covering what's happening in the aftermath of the Alex Pretty murder by the ICE thugs that murdered him and, add him to the list, right? The protesting going on, which doesn't get covered accurately. This particular protest is very important. There was basically at the end of last week, what happened was there was basically 100 clergy and priests that showed up to protest peacefully in Minneapolis. They're protesting the flights that were going in and out at the airport, and which was bringing in the ICE thugs, bringing in the artillery for them to conduct their terror operations. And they showed up peacefully to protest. Here is what they look like doing their protest. As you can see, bringing nothing but peace and positivity and people coming together. It's the last thing that you would ever, on your own, you would never, ever associate these people as domestic terrorists. But let's see what happened to them after. But this is what it looked like, and nobody covered this.
And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to love. Everybody's got a right to love. Everybody's got a right to smile. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail.
They're singing, everybody has a right to smile. They showed up there to make their voices heard. It's freezing cold. As you guys know, we've been talking about the cold out there all day, as Craig Possick can attest to, being on the ground right now in Minneapolis. So again, these are priests, clergymen coming together, protesting ICE and doing it positively. And they're ready for the worst. I do think that these people were ready for what happened next. It wasn't pretty, as they say. Apparently, after well under an hour, they were arrested. 100 of them, 100 of them arrested for peaceful protesting. This is what that looked like. Here you go. And that's what happened. Did they know this was going to happen when they went? Probably. They were prepared. But that's the courage it takes sometimes in protesting. That's the courage it takes. I have to say, look, would you ask yourself this question? Would you show up? Would you show up if you knew it was going to end like this? Would you show up for a good cause? That's what these clergymen, these priests did. That's what they did. This is, again, this is what it looked like when they were lined up. And they didn't last for too long before they were all taken into custody. Now, released on bail, all that stuff. Sure. Were charges eventually dropped? I don't know. I mean, this just happened. So we don't know. We have to look into the after effects. But why wasn't this featured on any news network at all? Why wouldn't they show us this? I mean, you would think that the ones that are trying to present the problems with ICE in Minnesota, they would want to show this to us. Well, apparently, but they didn't. They didn't. So we have to look at this ourselves and say, these people, these 100 clergymen and 100 priests showing up in the freezing effing cold to preach love and peace, ending up arrested for that. Says something about the state of our non-democracy. It says something about the state of our non-First Amendment. It says something about the state of our non-journalist arena with real journalism, when we just have propagandists pretending to be for the people when they're just trying to keep us in our tribes. Meanwhile, these people really get arrested and really go to jail. Everyone should be furious about this. Whether even if you love ICE to death, the fact that in a free country we can't protest that, and we have to punish these people and have them led away in cuffs. It's a tragedy. And there it is again. It's a tragedy. I mean, having them on their knees like this is absolutely insane. It's humiliating. It's degrading. It's not okay. It's not okay. But yeah, this is why we have to highlight it on our show today. And some of these greatest, most noble, courageous moments, like these 100 priests and clergymen demonstrated, don't get noticed, and they know that going in, and it's okay. And they might have known that this was how it was going to end anyways, but they showed up because it was the right thing to do. It's always the right thing to do. And there it is. So this week's loudest voice of the week goes to the 100 priests and clergymen that were arrested in Minneapolis for protesting against ICE and promoting peace and love. Congrats for being on the right side of history. Okay. Thanks for sticking out with us, you guys, today. There's some other stories that we weren't able to get to. We will have a packed show on Thursday. We do have Jay Scott coming back in with us, and some other surprises aren't worked out just yet. And obviously, a lot of these stories are in process. They're in motion. So we don't know what's going to happen in the next 48 hours, but we'll continue to give you guys the best we can. And, anything we didn't get to, we'll have, the good news is when we don't get to a story, it gives us a little more time to prepare it even better for you guys. We do have some super chats we didn't get to from, Citizen Pendejo. We do appreciate it. Let's see. We have from Citizen, every citizen has a limit. After that, human nature kicks in, rejecting injustice, Gaza, and revolting versus censorship. TikTok X, UpScrolled, can't be worse. Again, I'm not saying don't sign up for UpScrolled. Go for it. It can't be worse than X. We know it's we know it's well, it can't be worse than TikTok. It might be worse than X. We don't know. So if you had a TikTok account and you no longer can use it, yes, go start an UpScroll. If you have Twitter like we do, I just wouldn't cancel Twitter at this point. Try UpScrolled. It's totally cool to do that. Just make sure you understand that no space is safe. No space is safe, and we have to be skeptical. The fact that the CEO comes from Oracle, the exact company Larry Ellison started, the one that Larry Ellison now owning TikTok. So it's like you're going right to an associate of that same company. That is why you're leaving TikTok. So just keep that in mind. But certainly start an UpScrolled if you guys want to do that. Please do it. I'm not telling you not to do it. Okay, what else we have here? Another one from Citizen. America First is globalizing the enchilada versus Trump. Thank you again, Citizen Pendejo. I really appreciate all your engagement, and the super chats are pretty awesome. Okay. And then regarding the pretty, we're not saying it was a false flag. We're saying that some people put that out there. We were just kind of going down that rabbit hole because those operations have been used in other places. And a lot of those techniques, it's good to know that those techniques exist. And it's just good that we know this, because in some cases there are false flag situations. We talk about the Australian incident at the synagogue at Bondi Beach. So many red flags on that one as well. And we're not saying that people aren't getting murdered. We're saying that things are set up in advance, and there's all sorts of types of different psyops and false flag events. And you should know this because we've covered those on the show, that there's different levels of different false flag operations, different psyop operations for sure. And we have one more from Citizen. Pretty is in Bahamas vacationing with Charlie Kirk. Okay, we get your humor. And there's people that think that Charlie Kirk is still alive. That's true. That's true. I'm not going to bash on those people. They have their theories. and that's fine. It's totally fine. But I get your humor here. Totally cool. We do appreciate your super chats. Thank you so much, citizen. And no, I don't. Just for the record, I don't think that Pretty is in the Bahamas vacation with Charlie Kirk. Some people might think that. I happen to not think that. But we do need to look into the functionality of how psyops and how false flag operations work, because they could just be applying some of those techniques here and there, sprinkling a little here, sprinkling a little there. But people getting murdered are getting murdered. So that's actually a thing. So I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Okay. Yeah, and we do have, let's see if I have any more Rumble rants before we go. I know we had a few from earlier. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we got from Stu Sign, we got that one. I'm gonna make sure we have any more come up. Okay, very cool, guys. And I see a lot more comments from you since we did talking back earlier. Very cool. And yeah, no, look, citizen, I just want to I want to be very clear here. This is how we cover these stories on here. This is how we cover Jon Stewart. This is how we're covering Morgan, the same way. You're saying, I don't know what they're protesting about, given that, according to Morgan, Alex Pretty is not dead. We're not agreeing with her on that. We're saying that maybe she pointed out something that's true, just like Jon Stewart. He might be pointing out something that's true, might not be telling everything that we would wish he would go into. In this case, Morgan's going far in the area of implying that he might still be alive. We're not saying that, but we are saying that she brings up very important points about how psyops work, just like Jon Stewart brings up very, very important points about how different parties like the right-wing arena will strip their own values away of the Second Amendment. It doesn't mean he's right about all the other stuff, but we want to point out the things that are important to point out. That's all it is. That's all it is. And I do appreciate you holding us accountable if we're going down a road that sounds a little too extreme. We appreciate that, but that we're not here to be extreme or not extreme. We're here to report. We're here to pull curtains back, and you guys can decide for yourself as we're trying to also piece things together on our end. That's how we do it here. And I think we've been consistent with that. Okay. I think we're done with this. Okay. Moving on. I think that should do it. That should do it. There's some really good comments from you guys. Oh, this is Airways. Thanks for tuning in. This is interesting. UpScrolled went from number 14 to number 1 in the App Store in under 20 hours. Wow. That is incredible. That's incredible. And I guess that's what happens when this becomes the one. I do wonder how UpScrolled became the one everyone agreed on immediately. This is the one we're doing. Was there no other choice? This is the one. Okay. 14-1. Well, it was already at 14, so I guess it was already visible. It was already visible when the TikTok deal officially closed. It was already visible, and then everyone said, let's go right over to UpScrolled. Now it's number 1 in the App Store. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and I see you guys are having the friendly debate on what happened to Alex Pretty, and how nefarious was the activity but leading up to that. Yeah, these are great conversations. I think they're great. I think they're great to have these conversations, and we don't know. There's no way we can know everything here. You guys aren't tuning in here because we're some fortune teller network or some we have all the answers. That's not why you're watching. You're watching because we're asking questions. That's what this show's about. That's what this space is about. Asking questions. We're not here to tell you definitive facts and truths. We're here to discover, to assess, to investigate, to converse, to push back, to deliberate, to converse, all these things, to debate, to ask questions. Out of all those things, the questions is the most important part. If you're not asking the questions, you're going to miss something. If you're taking what people say as fact and that's it, then you're done. And if you're saying, oh, well, we don't know, we're going to wait, they're going to let us know, they're looking into it, they'll come back and tell us later. Yeah, still waiting on that 9/11 stuff, still waiting on that 9/11 commission. They're looking into Building 7. They'll be back soon. Just keep waiting. That's not so we ask the questions. That's what this is about. And I appreciate all you guys. You understand that sometimes we do go down a rabbit hole, and that's good. I think it's awesome. And I see you guys doing your debates in the chat, and it's great. You guys should do that. But let's keep asking questions. That's the least we can do when we're bombarded, we're overstimulated every day with garbage in our face, and the world's moving like this, and people are dropping down over here, and this is happening here, and laws are changing over here, and money's getting moved over here, and lie over here, and lie over there. So we have to do the best we can, and that starts with asking questions. That's it. And then treating each other with respect. That's all. And I think you guys do pretty good in the chats. You guys are pretty fairly respectful. So that's it. That's it for now. I think we covered everything for the day. And I'm excited about Thursday's show. Thursday's show is going to be awesome. And we do have some good stuff coming up. And thank you guys so much for being part of today. Let's go ahead and leave you guys. I hate to say unfortunately, this is not a positive. I wish I could say this is a positive. It's not. It's more of a moment of reflection. We'll leave you with this moment of reflection. You guys know Gabor Mate, that's Aaron Mate's father. He's been huge on Palestinian rights, huge on calling out the censorship industrial complex, the propaganda for Israel, huge on the human rights stuff. So he's had a discussion with Breonna Joy Gray. It's a powerful one. He seemed the most out of energy I've ever seen him. And it's I don't say this is sad, but it is a moment to kind of take a breath and say, can this work be exhausting? Can this take a toll on us? Can it take a toll on us as a people, not just individuals doing the work, but just when you get up and you go outside and you see just how the environment feels, how the society feels. Are we worn down as a people? Are we worn down as a human species after being inundated with so much? The powerful mechanism of divide and conquer and lie, and suppress, and punish, and twist and turn and pit us against each other. Has that taken its toll? Well, Gabor Mate explains very honestly, heartfelt, that he does feel that toll on himself and on society. And it's kind of a moment of clarity. So want to leave you guys with that. I don't mean it to be a downer, but hey, this is an emotionally filled time that we're in. Let's try and stay positive and know that it's good when people can be honest and be direct and admit and be vulnerable and just have the best take they can about what's happening. And we have to take a step back and look at it sometimes, which I appreciate that he did this. So I'm going to leave you with that from Gabor Mate with Breonna Joy Gray on Bad Faith. I guess it's called the Bad Faith Network or show. And we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you guys so much. All the engagement today. Thank you to Craig Pasta Jardula on the boots on the ground in Minneapolis. And we'll be back with you guys with more Homeless Left on Thursday. Remember, it's a non-tribal approach to news, but this is a non-tribal approach to life. And that's what we hope you guys can apply as you move forward in life from day to day when you need it most. Always have those critical thinking hats on. Take off those tribal goggles. And remember, go at the world with courage, with conviction, and above all else, principle. Power to the people. Free Palestine. We'll see you guys next time.
I'm 82 years old now. And on a subjective level, in my lifetime, I've not experienced such darkness, a sense of darkness and despondency and confusion and discouragement on the part of progressive people. There have been many crises before, many terrible times, many crimes committed by the system, but the sense of resistance and possibility was at any time more palpable than I see it now, with some exceptions. There was the Vietnam War, and it's hard to compare atrocities. 3 million people were massacred in Vietnam, in Cambodia, 100,000 or so in Gaza. But there was a sense of resistance then, and a belief in the possibility of stopping it. That seems less available now. It seems like I know that people are resisting, but the system's relentless imposition of power and arbitrary behavior has never been more untrammeled. And that's on the one hand. And on the other hand, the gloves are off. Like the imperial system, of which the United States is the main hegemon, used to hide behind various attractive labels and slogans such as democracy and freedom. It was always a hypocrisy, but now it no longer even bothers to do that. So that they go into Gaza with real estate ambitions, or they take over Venezuela, not talking about democracy and all that nonsense, but saying we want the oil. So that on the one hand, on the left, I think there's a sense of shock, despondence on the part of a lot of people, and on the part of the system, there's an untrammeled, undisguised greed and power imposition. Now, I know there's some lovely possibilities. I know there's resistance in Minnesota and the States. I know that Mayor Mamdani represents some hope for some people, at least in the area of New York. But systemically, I'm seeing what I'm seeing.